My goal is to try to get people who can't understand where we're coming from, where you see what's going on in the world right now. I panicked a little bit.
Hey man, I'm bringing back the old days. But
I was always ready to go. Anytime you show up to the party with this, it better be drinking.
Yo, what up?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of the Men of Means podcast.
Yes, sir. Back another week.
We got a special guest with us today.
We got a good friend of mine. One of the funniest gentlemen I've met.
A friend of yours or a friend of ours?
Well, I mean,
you've seen Donnie Brasco.
I
right?
met him first, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna take credit here. Okay, no, a good friend of ours. Gentleman's name is Travis. Just a swell guy all around. He does not use lotion.
Here by request, by the way.
Right.
He didn't just bum rush his way in here.
Yeah. I did. We did invite him. We've been trying to get him here for a little while now. We thought he'd be a great addition to the cast, especially as Anthony is not with us this evening.
Yeah, he's lost in space. or
Yeah,
something.
yeah. I put out some milk cartons the other day, and I taped his picture to it.
We lose him like twice a year.
We lose him. We lose him for like the majority of the year. Twice a year.
I forgot about the milk carton thing.
Yeah,
He's back to the milk carton days.
Yeah, dude. Fucking. Has anybody seen him? Okay.
Get the hotline ready again.
Yeah. Fuck, dude. 1-800 find Anthony. Find GTT. Anyway, so yes, as we mentioned, man, we got Travis here. We're gonna dive a little bit into that. It should be a really exciting episode. I hope you guys enjoy it, and if you don't, I don't want to hear about it. So keep it to yourself.
I mean, if we can get one comment, that'd be nice too, right?
Yeah, you could give negative comments. I think we've had some. Somebody went off on me once back in the early days because I didn't fucking comment or fucking send him a message or something. I don't fucking remember. I don't know what this is about. Anyway, so something I want to dive in here real quick is I just want to give Travis the opportunity here to kind of introduce himself, tell us a little bit about him, tell us his background, just a basic background. I don't need to know what hospital you were born in and shit. But yeah, man, why don't you introduce yourself?
All right, yeah. My name is Travis. I've been friends with Ken for a few years now.
He's like friends with James for 20 minutes.
I was like new friend of James, yeah.
Since we got here?
Yeah, so but
He's like the place.
to
I
be
like the
honest,
place.
yeah, no, the studio is awesome. I'm happy to be here. I am a listener of the show, so I'm very familiar with what you guys do here, and I'm very happy to be a part of it. So thanks for having me. And yeah, so a little bit about me. I was born in San Bernardino County Hospital. The year was 1988. It was on a cold September evening.
That was the greatest year, though.
It was.
I'm gonna have to thoroughly disagree.
I was Montclair.
Okay.
88.
All right. Fair enough.
87.
Yeah.
San Bernardino, baby.
Chill, boomer.
Yeah.
Anyway.
You know what, dude?
So I'm married to my beautiful and lovely wife, Stephanie. We have a almost 3-year-old daughter now. And yeah, so these days I'm mostly just golfing when I can. And when I can't, I'm chasing around a 3-year-old. So
Right.
but those, that's the main thing in my life. That's what makes me happy. And aside from that, like I said, I like to golf, I like to ride motorcycles, and like to hang out with you guys.
Glad you brought those things up.
I like that he got it out of the way early.
Yeah.
Instead of like waiting to like the truth.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh yeah.
Where like you can remember it and it makes more sense.
Do it now.
It kind of represents you.
Yeah. If you guys know,
I like that.
if you guys
Shout
know
out to his family on that one.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. You know what?
You can
yeah.
definitely tell.
Big shout out to Stephanie, man. One of the coolest couples I know. And you know what I gotta say too, I'm gonna just shout out the 3 couples that we got Travis and Stephanie, we got James and Crystal, and then we got Anthony and Erica. All very inspirational, man. I like the way that they're dynamic, and the way they kind of get to, which kind of will allude into what we're gonna get into. But as always, man, we're gonna start. So thank you, Travis, for giving us a little introduction. You brought up some key points that we're gonna dive into a little bit more. Just a little bit later, so if you guys want to hang tight for that. And as always, man, we're gonna start this episode off with whiskey time. You know what, Travis? You want to introduce the bottle? Would you do us the solid?
I would be happy to.
Thank you.
So today, I'd been kicking around the idea of doing a rye on the podcast, not necessarily with me, but I suggested it to Ken a few times, and not no one's fault or anything. It just hadn't happened. But I figured since I was finally going to be a guest on the show, I thought it'd be cool to do a rye. So the one that we got here today is the lot number 40. It's a Canadian rye.
Show the camera.
And
Yeah,
I'll just
there
show
we go.
you this lovely bottle. It has like a really cool kind of like raised. It almost feels like an etched design in the glass, and then they have their label over the top of it. So it's kind of got like a pretty cool aesthetic going on. And the color of the whiskey itself is actually a little bit darker, maybe a little bit more red, I would say,
Yeah, yeah.
than I'm used to seeing. So
Yeah, hey, great job introducing that, by the way,
Thank you.
man.
Wow.
This guy must
Wow.
have listened to the episodes a few times.
It's better than we've ever done.
Yeah. So this is a Canadian rye, coming straight from Canada.
connect.
Straight from Canada.
Mhm.
The bottle is, it's cool. It's got that little stamp on there.
Yeah, yeah. You know what? I was
Little
telling Travis too. Like,
schematics.
I wonder what it says underneath, and I kind of, I don't know where else they would have put it, but it kind of, I get it, but then I'm also like, impractical. You know what I mean? So there's that.
Mhm.
We haven't had luck with Canadian whiskey so far.
Which we
We
had.
haven't had luck with rye so far. Thinking back, the Michter's,
Yeah.
it's probably not as bad as we thought it was
Yeah, probably
compared
not.
to what we've had.
We were new.
But yeah. So let's go ahead and get into the breathability on this one. This is the bottle is, it's not fancy,
Yeah.
but it's
It's a straightforward bottle. It's not bad looking at all. I agree with Travis. It's as I always say, I kind of like the simplicity aspect to it.
how would a woman describe this bottle? Would they throw the rustic
Oh, 100%.
or like that? It's just
You just bring up the top
Alright.
search terms on Pinterest, and you can throw any one of those
Shut
on
the
there.
fuck
yeah,
up,
it's like the
dude.
top 10 searches.
Yeah.
So let's go ahead and breathe this thing in a
Let's
little bit.
take a sniff.
Hello.
Hello.
Hello, hello.
And how are you?
How are you?
How the devil are you?
I like the smell of this one.
I do too.
Compared to the last rye that we had at this table,
The last ride we had,
this one smells like it's made for me
smelled like vomit coming out of an asshole.
with a little sugar.
Yeah, this one, I mean, not a whole lot of sweetness on the nose for me. Like,
No.
at least nothing overwhelming. It's. I would say it's like pretty well balanced.
I'm gonna say, I'm not getting a whole lot on the nose, for me personally. And I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
Mhm.
But I'm just saying it's definitely I don't get a whole lot. It doesn't just reach out and fucking spray you in the face. You know what I'm saying?
It's smooth. I'll say that. It's
Mhm.
balanced. It's smooth. It has that whiskey smell without minus the cask. I'm not getting the cask in there,
No.
but it definitely has that bite to it. But it's
Mhm.
definitely a smooth breathability test that we're doing here.
We don't know how long this is aged either, do we?
I don't know. I don't think it says it on the bottle.
Or
but,
maybe it's under that fucking nice label that they
It
slapped
might
on top
be-
of it.
might be on the
Yeah,
backside.
dude.
It's step 40 or step G
Yeah.
down here.
Mhm.
Either or. So we're not sure how long it's aged, which maybe play a role into why you don't get the cask on that. But yeah, I'd say it's definitely, like I said, it's not a lot on the nose, but it's not unpleasant.
No.
Yeah, I'm not mad at it. I don't really have much more descriptive words I can throw in there, so
No,
I'm gonna
yeah.
leave it at not mad at it.
I did a little research on ryes.
Yeah, please, please enlighten us.
So I'm just gonna give you guys what I learned this past week. Travis suggested we have a rye, so I did a little research, just try to be ready for this. But typically, I guess there's two different ryes in America. One of them being primarily Pennsylvania, I think it was, and then the other one
Kentucky.
being Maryland.
Oh, what?
Yeah, the other one being a Maryland style. So there's two different styles. One of them the Maryland one tends to be on the sweeter side.
Mm.
It actually has a lot of the corn in the actual mash build, and then the Pennsylvania one, that one typically has higher rye content, and that higher rye content is going to give you more of a spicy flavor.
Mhm.
The Maryland one is going to give you more of the sweet, and I think that's what we had before.
Yeah.
So when he brought it up, I kind of researched it, and I'm like, well, I hope they go with that Pittsburgh style or Pennsylvania style rye, where it's a high grain. This is a Canadian one, so they don't have the same rules they have in America. But off the nose, I'm not getting the sweet, so I think we're headed down a good path here. So
Right.
there's a little bit of rye information for you guys if you guys were interested.
Thank you,
Mhm.
man. Appreciate that. Thanks for kicking that knowledge around. I got to be honest. I'm kind of dying to taste this, guys. You guys
Yeah,
okay with
get
that?
into it. Yes,
James is
yes.
over there fucking.
Mhm.
I don't have a beer, so
All right, guys. Cheers.
Cheers.
All right, and here we go.
oh, it's smooth, super smooth,
Very drinkable.
very
Yeah.
drinkable.
I think that balanced aroma that we were getting really comes through on the taste.
Yeah.
At least for me, it it's definitely not too sweet. And when it comes to ryes, like I prefer, if I'm drinking a rye, I want to know that it's a rye whiskey. I want that spiciness,
Yeah.
and this really comes through on that for me.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, as far as rise goes, right off the top, definitely better than the previous ones that we've had here. I think to James's point, James did do a little homework, and we understood. So we're trying to get away from the sweet vibes. I don't think, at least for James and myself, Travis, I'll let you talk about that. Not a sweet fan.
No,
Not really. Like I don't like your honey Jack Daniels and shit
No.
like that. No, thank you. So this you definitely get that spice, a little pepper in there. You know what I mean? A
Mhm.
little kick to it. But not overwhelming in any fashion.
no.
Very manageable. I mean, fuck, I held it in my mouth, swished it around. Wow, that sounds
We
weird.
heard.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No, we heard.
yeah, I know. I was
You guys heard. That was Ken.
yeah, I don't apologize. Yeah, I think it's good.
And when we talk about the spice, it's not like a fireball peppermint flavor. This is like a pepper spice
Pepper,
where
yeah,
it's peppery.
it's like a zing.
Yeah, exactly. And this one, the thing I like about it is, yeah, to your point, that's what we're looking for in a
Mhm.
rye. That's what I prefer after
Mhm.
researching it. I was hoping for this kind of rye.
Mm-hmm.
The peppery taste kind of finishes off the whiskey, and then everything else is just a smooth, balanced flavor.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not harsh at all. This
Mm-mm.
is a very drinkable whiskey, neat. I think most people wouldn't have no issues drinking this. You're not going to get a huge kick, but it's flavorful because it has that balanced flavor and then the spice that I'm looking for. So I'm very impressed with this rye. This is easily the best rye I've ever had.
Yeah, for
Right.
me, I haven't had this one specifically, but I have had a few ryes. My go-to is Bullet because it's pretty easy to come by, and for me, it kind of checks those boxes. But this is definitely better than that, in my opinion. So it's probably the top rye I've ever had as well.
Yeah, I'm gonna say, man, and the price point is very fair.
Mhm.
$33.
Yeah.
It's your total wine and more. Canada.
Canada.
Well done.
Yeah.
Well done, eh?
Yeah, sorry. You know?
There was a Woodford Reserve when I was doing my research that they also have apparently a good rye. So I might try. I like Woodford Reserve.
Yeah,
So there's another one Buffalo Trace made.
a
I
rye.
forgot.
I know High West makes a rye.
High West makes one. Buffalo Trace actually they make a rye as well.
Huh.
I forgot which one it is though. I'll do some research on that. But
Yeah.
this one is just hands down a great whiskey overall. Just
Yeah,
overall.
yeah, it's good.
So,
It's a good one to add to your collection, guys. That's lot 40, lot number 40, Canadian rye whiskey. You guys, what do you guys want to rate that? Where are you sitting at?
based off the presentation, I like that rustic look.
We're really sticking with rustic, huh?
Yeah,
I'm gonna
that-
stick with rustic.
That, yeah,
I
that's
mean,
a
you
pretty.
slap a label over the fucking the SOP, the procedure to make this shit. That's rustic to me. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and I mean, come on, yeah. Anyways, that factored in with the smell, the breathability, balanced flavor, and then you get that, and then you get the peppery notes, and then the fact that someone could bring a ride to the table and I just thoroughly enjoy it.
Right.
I'm gonna give this one an 8.
Okay.
Nice.
Okay.
8 for me.
I'm gonna jump in here. We'll let our guest of honor, finish the race. I'm gonna say, man, it's a very vintage looking bottle.
I like that.
Yeah.
Thank you. I was hoping you
Vintage
guys
rustic.
would catch that. You know what I mean? I put a lot of thought into it. So with the vintage bottle here, I'm very impressed. The nose, like I said, is subtle, not overbearing, but kind of right where I think you want it to be. And the taste, I like the peppery vibes, but not too much. So on all of those notes and price, I'm gonna give it a 7.5. I'm gonna go with a solid 7.5. Not bad at all.
Fair enough. Yeah. So, and for me, like I said, having had a few ryes and this one being the top one for me, I'm definitely going to rate it a little higher. My rating obviously doesn't mean a whole lot to you listeners because, you don't really have much to compare it to. But having listening to previous episodes and knowing that James gave it an 8, that says something. So for me, I'm going to give it like an 8.5. I really like the presentation of the bottle and the label. It is rustic. It is vintage. It's very, Pinteresty. And even more so than just the design on the bottle, the actual color of the whiskey,
yeah.
I really like as well. Like I
Yeah.
really like that reddish kind of tint to it. So Yeah. All that said, 8.5 is it's what I'm sticking with.
Yeah.
Okay,
And,
wanna average that out?
So that's going to be an average
Wh-
score.
while he takes the time to do the math and average it out, I'm gonna go ahead and just say shout out Canada. You guys have redeemed
Mhm.
yourself.
America's hat.
We haven't trusted Canada
Mm.
or Canada.
It's this run,
Right?
It's Canadian.
We haven't trusted them with whiskey thus far.
Yeah.
This one right here, okay.
I'm not mad at Crown Royal.
Crown Royal that's a standard one, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
but
that's
I'm not mad at it.
you got to be looking for Crown Royal though. But this one here is a surprise, and they did a good job. So I gotta.
Okay, the numbers are in. I got it together, guys, and that's going to be an average score of 8.
Nice.
Basic maths.
Yes.
No, I mean, fuck, dude. I was like, oh, dude, I don't have my phone. How am I ever going to figure this out? My toes are out, but we got it done. So, man, that'll conclude Whiskey Time. Thank you guys for listening. As always, man, we appreciate it. We always appreciate some feedback on that. If you guys have something you'd like us to try, we're going to bring you a word from our sponsors. That's going to be Red Bull. Not to fucking mention. Anyway, yeah. So that'll conclude Whiskey Time. And with that said, so I'm going to jump into a little something here. As Travis mentioned earlier, well, first off, I just want to say again, it's a pleasure to have Travis here, just milking up the place. We always really like that. And I add a little spice of cinnamon there. So,
Yeah.
And
What brown sugar? What am I?
that's a stretch, buddy.
I don't fucking know.
Fucking leche.
That's fair. That's clever. That's clever. I like that.
I don't know. I was gonna say, yeah, that works. Anyway, so Travis, you mentioned you don't use lotion. James, lotion? No lotion.
No, I'm a savage.
I find that weird. You guys get itchy?
Yes.
I wouldn't say itchy is the word for it, but my hands definitely get dried out and they crack and bleed. So, there's that. I probably should use lotion.
And no part of you is like, man, maybe I should just apply some lotion once in a while.
I'll say this. There's never been a lotion that I put on where it's like, I don't hate the way this feels. Almost every single lotion I've ever had. And my wife is hugely into skincare. So I have tried quite a few. All of them, I'm like, I hate the way this feels. This feels icky.
Yeah, slimy.
Yeah,
me
don't
too.
Like
I don't like it at all. The only one I think I've ever had was like that worked was like Vaseline for men. Not actual Vaseline.
I was like, oh god,
brand.
dude,
Yeah.
It's for men.
Yeah.
That's the closest one that I can get to acceptable.
I use the Vaseline cocoa butter for men.
Yeah, that makes
cocoa
sense.
butter. Who would have thought, right? You know what I mean? Growing up, I actually used to use the brand called Baby Magic. It was my absolute favorite. It smelled like baby powder. I don't see it anymore in stores, but I'm a fan of that.
Don't you see? To me, when I'm looking at lotion, that's part of it too. I don't want to smell.
Yeah,
I definitely don't want to smell like baby powder.
I don't know. I fuck you guys. I was like fucking 13. You know.
I know it smells super clean, but I don't want scent.
No, definitely.
And that's
not.
what deterred me from lotion for most of my life.
I'm down for the cocoa butter. It's.
I don't even want that basic lotion smell.
No.
I don't want to smell like lotion.
The only thing that I've used that I didn't hate necessarily was it's a face lotion, so it's a lot thinner.
What brand?
But it's by Olay, I think.
Oh,
it's like a white bottle with a black cap.
It comes in a twist off.
Yeah,
Top.
it's one of those like.
But
It's a body cream.
You like
face cream.
spray it,
Yeah.
spritz it on yourself.
You actually have to use $100 bills to apply it. So.
Yeah, sounds about right.
But the only thing I hate about it is it smells like sunscreen. But it has SPF in it, so that makes sense.
So it is sunscreen.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah,
But
okay.
yeah.
Problem. We figured it out.
Hey,
you know what I mean?
I'm so glad I came here today.
Yeah. Hey, that's what we're here for, man. We're
finally
just
sorted
fucking
this
solving
out.
problems, dude. Yeah, I don't know, man. I used to get real itchy, like real itchy. You know what I mean? Especially like it would get cold and shit, and I'd be like, why am I so itchy? Like on my stomach and shit, you know. And so, I just started applying like every time. I preferably I shower twice a day. Each time after I shower, I apply lotion to lock in that moisture. You know what I mean? And I just enjoy it. I will agree with you guys. It does feel a little sticky. I used to hate like I put lotion on and put pants on. I'm like, ugh, I feel like they're stuck to me. But I don't even notice it anymore. And
Fair enough.
I think,
Yeah, I mean, I guess if
your
you
skin is just so dry that it's like, holy shit, you're not used to that.
Yeah, it's the meat tarp. Yeah, I guess if you just keep using it, eventually you'll get used to that feeling. But for me, I've never gotten used to it, so I avoid it.
Okay.
Well, and before Anthony went missing, I just want to say this. We talked about it before. I imagine that he feels like a dolphin because he's constantly lotioned.
Mhm.
And I don't want to feel like a dolphin.
Yeah.
You know, like that's just not me. But like you said, if you do it every day,
Feels like a
Mhm.
dolphin.
Yeah.
I don't
not-
imagine that he has any
Shamu,
rough.
they're just fucking spraying them down and shit.
Like I could put lotion on, and then I'm still gonna find like a rough spot, and I
Mhm.
can't get rid of
That's
that.
because you
No.
need to constantly apply
I
lotion.
don't want it though.
Yeah.
It's not my
Same.
thing.
Same.
Yeah.
It's just what it is.
Yeah, and you can't be too mad at Anthony for taking care of himself. I know I probably should use it, but I'm not gonna.
Yeah, I think
It definitely makes you more.
I think as a black person, man, I think it's just kind of like you just grow up and everyone's putting on lotion all the time. So you're like, yeah, put on some lotion. My brother growing up, man, he used to put Vaseline on, like straight Vaseline, and I'd be
Dang.
like, dude, and then it'd be windy as fuck. Like we'd walk to the
Mhm.
bus. I'm like, dude, like you have sand stuck to your legs, dude. Like, what are you thinking? You know what I mean?
It's like Pineapple Express. It makes me aerodynamic when I fight.
Yeah, dude, what fuck you talking, dude? So I always just thought that was interesting. So I just wanted to talk a little bit about lotion, man, and hear what you guys thought.
And that's our first sponsor, Jergens.
Yeah, no.
Or in Olay.
It's
In Olay.
the, it's
You
the
know
off,
what?
It's the off-brand.
You know what the
It's
funny
Jergens.
thing is I imagine you guys both use it when you masturbate. Okay, you go fucking now you go find some lotion,
No,
but
see,
you know what I mean.
Right
Just
there, I'm still a dry guy.
a dry guy. I'm not mad at that. Okay. Okay. We really dove in. All right, like dolphins. Okay. So now you two gentlemen, you guys both are no strangers to the two-wheel world. By that I mean riding motorcycles.
Mhm.
Both of you guys own one. I've always wanted one. I don't have one, so I want to live through you a little bit. I'm curious, man. What's the feeling you get when you're doing 235 miles an hour down fucking Foothill Boulevard? You know what I mean? Just fucking running lights. You don't give a shit. Right? No one can catch you. And if they do, you just swerve through traffic. What's it like? Hold on. Here's my real question. What's it like seeing a fucking crowded, stopped up freeway and you just be like, ha, don't care. I'm going to go right through you. That seems awesome.
Well, I'll start with this. It's probably a good thing that you don't have a motorcycle because if you're trying to ride 235 miles an hour down Foothill Boulevard, that's
wouldn't be here.
Yeah, it's a surefire way to get squished. No, but yeah, the feeling of actual riding, like the sensation, it's awesome, and you kind of get used to it as you ride.
Right.
But then, every once in a while, like lately, I haven't been riding a whole lot. As everyone probably knows, it's been pretty cold and chilly here. But when you get back on the bike for the first time in a while, you're like, oh wow, this feeling is awesome, because it's not like in a car. You take in so much more like sensory input. Like you're riding down the freeway, you ride next to a bakery, you can smell what the cookies being made, and you feel however fast you're going, you feel it because there's not a big metal cage around you. You feel if you're going 80 miles an hour, there's 80 miles an hour worth of wind pushing against you, so it's just I don't know, it's kind of hard to describe, but that sensation, like, it feels free, and as cliche as that sounds, like that's the best way I can describe it.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
James, what's your take on that?
And then in regards to your question, I don't have a license or registration, so I don't do a lot of that crazy shit. But to your point, you feel everything, you see everything, you have to be cautious. So you're more alert. So the thing I like most about riding a motorcycle is that if you got something on your mind, you go. There's not much time for you to sit there and think about it. So it's kind of like a little meditation, a little break from everything.
Gotcha.
The only thing you could think about is paying attention to the road, things that are going on around you, the things that might happen. So like being a defensive driver, if you're a defensive driver, those are going to be things that you're thinking about constantly. You're just focused on what you're doing. So when you're done, like when you're done with your ride or whatever, you pull up, you just feel like you had a mental break completely. Like nothing, even the biggest problems aren't allowed to be there. Like they're not going to sit in your head as you're riding because you're so focused on other things. So it is like a huge mental break. It makes you feel good. I know when I'm done, I just feel like happy. I'm just like, okay, cool. That was cool to get a little break from everything.
You feel refreshed because, like you said, you don't have all those same things weighing you down. So you get a little bit of a mental break. So it's kind of like recharging yourself in a way. So when you get done and you're back to the real world, you kind of feel like ready to take it on. So
Interesting. I'll tell you guys a little bit of a story. I have ridden motorcycles a couple times in my life. I've actually drove James' motorcycle before. I don't know if I drove it or I rode it, whatever you want to call it. I was on the fucking thing. But when I was a little younger, I was maybe 20, 21. A buddy of mine had one, and he let me take it. He's like, yeah, man. He's like, practice, go up the street real quick. And I was able to do so. So he was like, fucking ride it around town. I'm like, for real? Yeah, so I'm just fucking... I'm literally first day ever being on one, just riding around the streets. Okay, I'm licensed. I've never fucking drove one, but and I was like scared to like go on the side of cars, so I'm like in the line still. You know, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
Anyway, I'm riding through this neighborhood, man. And I see this group of girls just standing there, and I was like, "Holy shit, you're gonna be the coolest guy in the block right now." And of course, as always, stalled the fuck out.
Yeah.
And I was like, "Oh god!" So I'm trying to start it as I'm rolling, like don't have to pull over. You know what I mean? And then it goes, and I'm like, "Oh shit!" I jump up a little bit, and then I was like, "Yeah, I'm taking this bike back. I don't want to ride it anymore. I'm gonna fucking die."
Well, if it makes you feel any better, I've been riding dirt bikes since I was a kid. I've been riding street bikes, for a long time now, and even I stall every once in a while. So it happens to everybody. Don't worry about it.
Interesting.
I mean, it doesn't happen in front of a group full of girls. For everyone.
I mean, but you know what? Like you guys mentioned though, like you kind of need to be locked into what you're doing, focused there, not thinking about other things. I clearly was thinking about everything else, as opposed to what I was actually doing, which led to me stalling out. Reminds me of the first I used to attend Chaffey College, and I was driving up there in a stick shift vehicle, an automobile. And some girl I had formerly dated was literally right next to me, and I'm like, and if going up to Chaffey, there's a little bit of a hill, and of course, I stalled out then, and I just pledged myself to never stall out again, and fuck that, I'll ride the hell out of that clutch, dude. All right,
that's when you put the pressure on things. Because I took my bike, met up with a couple friends, we had some drinks or whatever, a drink or two, and sandwich. We ate, right. 3 Harleys come up, just badass Harleys, just top notch shit. And I love Harleys, but I'm like, this is what I got right now.
Yeah.
So they pull up after we get there. They get their food, they get a beer. I'm like, fuck. My friends are like, you want to go to another spot? I'm like, let's just hang out for a while.
Yeah.
Once they leave, I'm like, we can go. Because I didn't want to go and start our shit because we're like way down on the tiers. Yeah. So like I was in my own head like, I'm not going to act like we're doing anything. These guys got like fucking top of the line Harleys. Not that it's a big deal, and they weren't bikers, right? But they, I didn't want to be judged, So I'm like, so that you got that whole perspective too, where I don't give a fuck typically on anything else. But that day I was like, once we left, I told my friends, I was like, do you really think we're gonna leave before them? My other friends were like, nah, we're gonna ride this out. I'm just glad that they ate and left. And
that is one nice other aspect of motorcycles is the people that you meet and the community. Obviously there's the stigma of motorcycle clubs, specifically outlaw motorcycle clubs,
right?
And so riders in general get stigmatized as being bad people or whatever, but I've met some of my best friends on motorcycles and through riding. And so kind of to your point, I totally get where you're coming from, but those guys probably didn't give a fuck. They didn't. They would have probably wanted to talk to you about what bike you had. You know what I mean? But yeah, 100%. I get where you're coming from. Yeah. But yeah, the community is also another part of what makes it so great, I'd say.
Yeah. I see that sometimes you see motorcycles going opposite directions in traffic, and they kind of wave at each other.
It's etiquette. You always wave if you see them.
I've been a big fan of if I see a bike coming up behind me, I get way the fuck out of the way. You know what I mean? And really, I'm just doing it so that they wave at me.
And
that's it.
I'll say
want
that
little wave.
Yeah, I just want that little things, dude. I'm like, yeah, dude.
I'll say this because I get that question a lot. I used to only have a motorcycle. I didn't have a car for 2 years, and even now, before it was so cold, I would ride to work at least 2 days a week.
Yeah.
So people who know me or know that I ride, they usually ask me. They're like, when we see you coming, how far over should we get? And I'll just say this, and I don't speak for every motorcyclist out there, but on my experience, what I'll say is get over as far as you're comfortable with if you see me, because no matter what, it's going to be appreciated, and I'm not going to pass you if there's not enough room. So don't feel like you got to get all the way over on the shoulder and pick up a nail in your tire for me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And also I'll say, whenever somebody gets over for me, if I can, I try to wave. But sometimes I'm not able to. If I see there's vehicles changing lanes up ahead or something, I got to keep both my hands on the handlebars. So just know if the guy didn't wave at you, it's not because he doesn't appreciate it. Maybe there was some other things going on. Please don't let that discourage you from getting over for other motorcyclists.
No,
yeah,
I'm gonna tell you right now, Travis. When they don't wave at me, I'm thoroughly offended.
And I've heard that from other people too, and that's why I'm trying to.
I'm was I not over far enough or what, dude? What does it take? I just want to fucking nod.
It's not not
what I
you,
mean?
it's me.
Yeah, dude. Like honk your horn or something.
Yeah,
Fucking
yeah.
give me something,
Just
dude.
don't,
You know what I mean?
Don't let it discourage you. Yeah.
I mean, no. Now it's only more motivation for the next one. Like, well, I'm gonna make sure he fucking waves at me.
You go up again, try to get ahead again.
Yeah, fucking
Let him
One
over
more
again.
time.
cutting everybody off and
Yeah.
shit. You know what I mean? Cut him off, just to get out of the way. You
Uh-huh.
know,
Yep.
give me a wave. Yeah, yeah, man. You know, I will say this, man. I definitely want to at some point get a motorcycle. I've always been interested in them. What kind would you guys suggest? I know you guys ride two different kind of bikes. James is a little more traditional, I suppose you would call that traditional.
Like cruiser.
A little more cruiser-ish, a little more, laid back. I'm not all hunched over and shit. And Travis is hunched over. Travis is over there going 235 miles an hour, and James is just going to the fucking limit. You know what I mean?
That's not true.
He doesn't have a license. He can't push it. You know what I mean? But
No, but I was driving the other day and I was like stressed out, right? Because I'm like, fuck, I got the longest ride out of everybody. One friend has a license, the other one doesn't either. I'm riding and I'm halfway through. I'm like, why am I worried?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like, they pull me over. Yes, they're gonna take the bike, right? I don't got license. They're gonna take the bike. But I'm like, why would I spend my whole ride worrying
Mhm.
about that? Like, fuck it,
Mhm.
I'm gonna enjoy it. It's fucking 2021. Like,
Mhm.
you
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, who gives a fuck?
And here's the reality of it, man. If it's not registered to you, as long as it's not another motorcycle pulling you over, you can probably just get away anyway.
I wouldn't recommend it.
Yeah, I would. Isn't it Travis fucking goody two shoe over here? We'll
Yeah,
just pull
well-
over and surrender the vehicle.
He pulls over before the lights come on.
I don't even care about the ticket or the impound. I'm just thinking safety wise.
Oh, dude,
and
I live on the edge.
And now even more so than ever because I have Chloe, like my daughter,
Mm.
I have to be more conscious of that. Not
Yeah.
that I was ever reckless before, but now I think twice even about stuff that I would never have thought about before. So.
Right.
Yeah.
And for the record, I'm totally kidding.
No, I
here,
know, I know
right?
you are, but I just feel like it needs to be said.
Yeah, and I'm glad you did. Sometimes I think we neglect that. We make a lot of jokes and we neglect kind of coming back and just making it clear that these are jokes.
Mhm.
Please don't go 235 miles an hour up foothill. Yeah,
Also,
it's-
if you
it's
have a
terrible
bike
idea.
that does 235 miles an hour, I'd like to see it.
It's called F1 biking. I don't know. Is that a thing? Oh.
It's MotoGP.
Yeah, that's what I said. You know what I mean,
Close
dude?
enough.
Yeah.
Jose is gonna be so mad at you.
Dude, James has really built up quite a hell of an ash over there.
Yeah.
I gotta say, dude.
You're not supposed to mention it because
no,
every time
you're gonna drop it, but fuck,
I
it's
know.
impressive.
I drop it every
right?
single time.
I want to give the credit now
Thank
before
you. Thank you.
before it fucking
And-
spills
and
everywhere.
it's usually me just hitting it.
Yeah, I
It's
know,
not even it
dude.
falling off by itself.
It's just boop up. Well,
It's like,
there that
oh,
goes.
that's all over everything.
Yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. All right, man. So, but what kind of bike would you guys suggest for a starter, for a beginner, somebody like myself who's drove them a few times, but not at all an expert? You know, not regular, nothing. Just how do I pick it up?
So I would say cruisers are comfortable to ride for sure, and I'm not. I like all bikes. So let me start with that. What I'll say as far as like practicality and easiness to ride, probably something more upright, like something similar to like a dirt bike style. You know what I mean? Something where the handlebars aren't too far forward, and also something where like your foot controls aren't too far forward either. You want it to be like upright, like a bicycle. So I would say like an enduro or a dual sport, something like that, or even like a Suzuki SV 650. That would be a good starter bike because it's kind of a sportier bike, but the handlebars are a little taller. So that would be, you have a good amount of leverage. You can really control that bike.
I think I should have specified this. I still want to be cool. is
Yeah,
what I'm
okay,
saying,
fair
you know
enough,
what I mean?
fair enough. Yeah,
Let me-
fair
let me
enough.
Make that point real quick. I don't want to be that guy we saw at the
Hey,
liquor store.
no, yeah. I was gonna say there's a famous saying. It's everyone's cool on a motorcycle until they take their helmet off. So
I'm okay with that.
yeah,
you
so
know
it
what I
doesn't
mean?
really matter. You know what I mean? But yeah, SV 650. That's my choice.
Okay, James.
For me, I always tell people if you're gonna buy a bike, find something that fits you.
Okay.
Don't be a big motherfucker trying to get on a Sportster because the price range is right.
Yeah.
Find a bike that has the size for you. You know what I mean? And like he said, foot controls is going to be a big thing. Are you comfortable with forward foot controls? Are you more comfortable with them mid control? So like that, those are the things I always tell people. Like, just find something that you can control, something that's maneuverable for you, but something that fits you. There's people I know that they want Sportsters and they're like bigger dude. I'm like, that's not the bike for you.
Right.
Like you can find something in more the mid range, but it depends. Like, are you looking for a speed bike? Are you looking for a cruiser? Are you looking for that middle ground?
Mm-hmm.
So there's different options there. But my biggest thing is like find something that fits you.
Okay, Because just from appearance alone, it would seem though like a cruiser would be a little easier to ride. It seems a little more balanced. It seems like you don't have to lean so much when you turn. You have a little more handlebar play just from looks, right? I've driven a Gixxer. I think it's 650. Probably wouldn't get that small of a bike if it was me purchasing it. Maybe like 750, maybe 1,000.
There's a lot of people out there that would say like don't get 1,000 for your first bike.
Yeah, I've heard
And
that.
maybe, you know, if you have problems with self-control or like discipline, you know what I mean, you might not want to give yourself that much power to begin
So
with.
me.
But what I'm saying is if you're
He's
buying,
speaking indirectly to you.
yeah,
As a kid,
if you're buying this bike to be like your bike for a while, I wouldn't necessarily say don't get a 1,000. Just, you know, be smart about it, because what I see happen a lot is people buy like a Ninja 300 or even a 600 as their first bike, and you outgrow those pretty quickly. Like as you get more comfortable on the bike, like eventually you're going to be wishing that you got more. And so I would say if it's going to be your bike for a while, like get something that you're not going to want to get out of in a couple months and take a big hit, you know, when you try to resell it.
Yeah,
Right.
and that's a good point, because I remember when I was like early 20s, my friend bought a bike and he was like, it's not enough power. He's like, it's not
Yeah.
powerful enough. And I'm like, well, what's that? What does that matter? It's your first bike.
Right.
He's like, when you don't have enough power, it's almost a little more dangerous
is,
because
yeah.
you don't have maneuverability. You don't have some of that power to keep up, hit the
It's-
freeways and
Get
do all
out of
those things.
Get out of the way of a car.
That was a big thing.
Mhm.
He said, you don't have that extra power. He's like, when you have those lower end bikes, you don't have that extra fucking push when you need it.
Yeah.
And I never thought about it that way, but that's something that, you got to factor in the power aspect of it too.
Yeah.
You don't want low.
I've always felt that way with cars. Even I
Yeah.
feel like you have a powerful car, you can get out of a situation
Right.
a lot better than if you're trying to switch lanes and you're fucking barely getting up, and now this car is coming behind you and you're trying to keep up, or you know, even getting on the freeway.
Yeah.
Sometimes you got to move. You know what I mean?
It gets scary. Like, because I've had lower powered cars before too, you know, and like even just getting on the freeway, if you happen to be bad timing and you're getting on the freeway right as a semi is in that lane, you're halfway in between.
Yeah, and you don't know what to do.
Yeah,
do I
you're
speed
like,
up? Do I slow down?
or do I
Fuck.
just ram this thing off the fucking side of the road? Like, what do I do? Yeah.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
for sure, that's just something to consider that I think a lot of people overlook when they're getting their first bike, but that's something I would suggest keeping in mind.
Good, man. I appreciate the info, guys. I think I'm ready to buy a bike now.
Fair enough.
All right, and let's all just ride. Let's start a club.
All right, let's do it. The
Uh,
Meta Means
that's it.
Motorcycle Club.
Well, Travis puts on little runs, right? I think last time you
I
had a little
do.
coffee run.
Yeah, so kind of going back to the community thing, I met a lot of my best friends through riding motorcycles, and back in the day, shout out Inland Classic Moto Society. My good buddies, we all kind of we were never really a club, but for sure we put on rides. Like we would go ride up into the mountains, or we would go to coffee shops, and it was just an excuse to get out and ride and just kind of like hang out with each other.
Yeah.
And I really do miss that. Like everyone's kind of gone their separate ways as we've gotten older, and that's just life. But for sure, I would like to get back to that. So it's
All right, man. Thank you guys for the motorcycle info there, man. Like I said, I think I'm ready to get one. Probably not gonna go with anything you suggested because I'm reckless. So that being said, man, so a little bit of the topic I wanted to get into today. I wanted to talk a little bit about loyalty, right? You know, you got a lot of people talking about that these days. You know, when it comes to mind is Kendrick Lamar in his song, and he was like, "I'd rather," what is this? Something like, I don't know, fucking, I'd rather find you loyal than love me, or some shit like that. You guys get the gist of what I'm getting at there. I didn't write the quote down. Anyway, so loyalty, man. I think a lot of people, I see a lot of people loyalty tattoos on them, and I'm always like, that's interesting. I guess they're loyal to that tattoo, you know.
or they're a tattoo artist.
Yeah, you know. So with that said, man, I think a good place to start with this is to get a definition of what each of us kind of describes loyalty as. That being said, I'd like to enlist James here to kind of kick that off. If you guys have heard the podcast before, James usually puts a little thought into some things. He has a different perspective on it than I do a lot of times, and basically, I want to argue with him, so I think it'll be fun, you know. And then I'll let Travis go, and I'll bring up the end there.
Well, see, Travis gave me rye on Monday, and so I had a couple of days to prepare. The loyalty we brought to the table today. Good topic.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I wish we had the definition, right? Or at least what it meant to us. The thing with loyalty is I think it's a good ideal. I think it's a good principle. I think it's a good characteristic of that. For me, you want me to define it?
Yeah, I'd like you to give me your definition of loyalty. When you think loyalty,
When
what does
I'm
that
loyal?
mean to you? Yeah, or someone's loyal to you, or something of
guess-
that nature.
I guess if I'm thinking about loyalty, like loyalty to me is personal. Like I got to be loyal to who I am, right? That what comes to mind a lot. How am I loyal to who I am? How am I loyal to my ideals, my perspectives? How am I loyal to the people around me? And for me, it kind of, my loyalty falls within the realm of like family, friends, personal. Like
Right.
how do I portray that? But I think loyalty takes many forms for me. Sometimes people think loyalty is like, hey, you got to be loyal to me blindly, right? I think loyalty can also fold into the realm of like being honest with people, right? You give them real good feedback and
You're honest.
You're honest. You tell them some shit that they need to hear, so that's part of being loyal. So I just think it's kind of it's a diverse topic, and that's why I think today was a good one because we opened off air. We opened with like, okay, well, what does it even mean? So to me, loyalty is just when you are. It's kind of like a commitment. You're committed to something or somebody in your life where, you always got them. There's always a sense of trust and comfort there that they're with you.
Sure.
That's where it kind of lies with me.
Got you. All right, Travis.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head there. Like loyalty, it's kind of hard to define it without defining other virtues, I would guess you would call them, because it's all like, it's all together, right? Like you can't have loyalty without trust and without honesty, because to be blindly loyal to somebody or something, like that's a surefire way to get yourself in trouble. You know what I mean? Like you got to be open to discussion and ask questions and question motives. You know what I mean?
Sure.
But also, having said that, like loyalty to me, like my personal definition is also very similar. It's just being committed. Like I think commitment is a good synonym for loyalty. When it, you hear it like your loyalty points or your loyalty rewards when you hear, advertisements for stores and stuff.
Yeah, I've been loyal to Vons.
I've been loyal to Vons for a while now.
You know what I mean?
You know what I'm saying?
And they do reward me handsomely.
Right.
Those
Fucking
deals.
gas credits. You know what I'm saying?
for
All
sure.
right.
But I feel like, loyalty is kind of like first, like on the surface, it's like a no-brainer. It's like, yeah, of course I'm loyal to my family. Of course I'm loyal to, my job or whatever. But as you dig deeper, like that's where you kind of get into like more gray areas, I guess, on what the definition would be. But yeah, so to wrap it up, for me is my definition of loyalty is personal, like the relationships that I have in my life, being loyal to my own values and virtues and what makes me me. And I think it's important, and it goes hand in hand with all those other things. So.
All right, thank you, sir.
Mhm.
I'm gonna jump mine in here. I think for me, man, loyalty is definitely like a two-way street, right? You have to be loyal to get loyalty in return. It's not something. I think you mentioned it goes along with trust, Travis, and I would say I agree. I think if you give your word, to me, loyalty is if you give me your word that you're gonna do something, you're gonna do it, and I don't need to question it. But that's built over time, right? I don't walk in and I'm we've established that loyalty there. It's something that I think over time, situations will arise in which someone can do so. Definitely, I would say, family is a big, absolutely, 100%, right? But because it's a two-way street, I know 100%. If I was down and out, I know my family got to me, and I would do the exact same for them.
Mm-hmm.
No questions asked. However, though, if I had let's say I had someone in my family or that was willing to kind of take advantage of that, that would dry up quick. I think it's not infinite. It's I think it like I said, it's a two-way street. I think you have to give it to get it. But I guess the way I would define loyalty, I'll give you an example. I have a friend of mine. You guys both know him. His name is Andrew. Me and him been friends for fucking going on damn near 20 years now, man. And one night, me and him, I'm helping him move. We decide we're gonna go to the gas station, get some Gatorades. You know what I mean? Tired, we're moving. You know what I mean? I come out. I come out before he does, and I'm standing on the side of his car. And a group, there's about 15 dudes standing there, and they start kind of press me. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I'm young, so I'm like, fuck you, fucking leave me alone. I'm clearly outnumbered, and it's a bad move, but I'm young and dumb, so I'm like, yeah, whatever, I'm with it. Andrew comes out. Turns out Andrew knows him, and they're kind of like, hey, what's up with you? You know, kind of getting into his shit. And he immediately tells them, I'm gonna tell you right now, dude, that's my boy. And you guys want to fuck with him? You got a problem with me, and I'm right there with him, and that's it. And this is early on in me knowing him, but that right there, I thought, man, he was loyal to me in that situation where he didn't have to be. He knew these guys. He probably hung out with them longer than he knew me at that time. However, I think we developed a bond, and he knew that I had him, and he had me, and that's what I mean. And in time, you know what I mean, you develop that. So I know if I was in that kind of a situation, I know I can depend on that guy to be there for me, and I don't have to worry about that. But I think it's situational as well, right? So I might say, yeah, Andrew's that guy, but Andrew's also the kind of guy that if I'm like, hey, man, I need this, he might do it, he might not, you know what I mean? So I'd say it's situational. But I think when it counts, you know who you can depend on. So I think it's being able to depend on somebody to know, kind of, they're going to do what they say they're going to do. I think, like, if you look at the relationship aspect of it, I think being loyal is going to be I think it's a huge piece of the pie there, if you would, as far as being in a relationship. If someone's not loyal to you, how what the fuck's the point? You know what I'm saying? And vice versa. If you're not loyal to them, what's the point? But also, I think it provides a sense of security. You know what I mean? You're secure in that, and you're not worried about it. You don't have that looming over you. It's not something it doesn't concern you.
Well, the funny thing about loyalty in relationships, the way like it typically shows up, like the easiest way to recognize it, and it's the lazy way, but everybody thinks like, oh, just don't be fucking around, right?
Right.
Be loyal to your partner.
Right.
But I think that, like you touched on earlier, it comes down to commitment, right? So your loyalty is not just not going out and fucking around. It's committing every day and taking action and working on things and compromising. That's where the loyalty is displayed to me.
I agree.
But it's dumbed down a lot of times, just to like, oh, I'm loyal to my girl.
Well, I think
I'm loyal to my girl.
In its simplest form, I'd say that. Yeah, that is it.
In
right?
a relationship,
but that's the simplest form of it. But even to do so, it's a lot more complex.
And,
you know what I mean?
And kind of like what you were, Ken was touching on, loyalty like comes with time, and because of that, and because of the fact that you can't describe loyalty without trust, I feel like loyalty is kind of like the next level, or like the further definition of trust, right? Like trust would be the first step, and then over time, you develop that trust. I know I can trust this person, and I know that they trust me, and we can be loyal to each other. And that's where it kind of starts to become dangerous, because you start to take it for granted. But people change over time, and I'm not saying that it's ever going to happen to anybody specific, or what I mean, but it does happen. Like, people change, their motives can change. You start to take that for granted, and now you're blindly loyal to this person because for this long, like, nothing's gone wrong, but eventually it can go wrong. So I guess I'd say that just to say, like, it's the next level of trust, but you still have to kind of renew it every once in a while. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Just like your Ralph's Rewards points or whatever.
Well, man, I'd have to say too, I think you guys are kind of on the right thing there, because if you walk into anything blindly, that's a mistake, right? I may be loyal to you, and one day you may call upon me to do some shit that I think is absolutely ridiculous. But the fact that we have this loyalty between each other, I should feel comfortable in telling you that.
Right. 100%.
Hey, I fuck that. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
Which leads me to another aspect of loyalty, and something that I think of is kind of like gangs, right? Gangs, people are blindly just doing shit that people are told to do, and so you go do it, and now you end up in jail. You're doing all of that, and then the request is don't say anything about it.
Stay
else.
loyal.
Yeah, don't say anything. Sit there. You take it. I set you up to do this. I am fucking playing you. I am playing you 100% the whole way. Will you sit there and do it for me? To me, that's not loyalty at all. I mean, it's one-sided loyalty, that's why I said it's a two-way street.
Misplaced.
And I think, ultimately, I think that leads to a lot of resentment, a lot of regret, and then you got a little bit of a vendetta there. You know what I mean? Fuck, I would. You know what I mean?
Emotional
It's like 6ix9ine, right? Like, oh, I'm running with you guys. Oh shit, I'm in trouble now. I'm telling on you. You know what I mean? And so I think. As I say, man, to me, it just has to be a two-way street. Otherwise, what's the point? What's the purpose? Where are you going? I think it's two people or a group of people, however many you want to have. I think it's understanding that you have a common goal, and then basically your means of working towards that goal. Not necessarily putting maybe not the footwork in, but the mentality of it. You know what I mean? To get that accomplished, I think. So same, like I work with both you gentlemen. So if we're at work and I come and I say, hey, man, this is what I need, and this, you have a question for me, I got to be like, yeah, great question. Let me answer that question. I want you to buy into what I'm doing, right? Same we talk about Tom Brady on Sports Time. How does he get a locker room to buy in? Probably because, number one, he has the resume. Yeah. Okay. Clearly, I've shown you that I have the skills to do this. I have the know-how, and I will show you my effort and my work ethic and everything there. Now I need to see it from you. And once you do, now let's go out here and win a Super Bowl. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's important that it goes both ways because, like you said, if not, then it turns into all those other things and never ends well.
Yeah, and that's why loyalty is important because, like we said, it encompasses trust, commitment, all those different things. So loyalty in relationships, but the one thing also is perspective. So like you can be loyal. Dogs, right? Dogs.
Yeah.
One of their characteristics is loyalty. Right? People love dogs for that reason. But humans are more complex, right?
Yeah.
So they need feedback.
Right.
I'm loyal to you every day. I need feedback to know that I'm on the right track. Where am I falling short? How do I show this? How do we grow? How do we continue that trust? Because like you said, things change and you got to continue that loyalty, that commitment, that trust. You got to keep building that over time. But the funny thing is when you get into a loyalty with your friends, the one thing that falls heavy is perspective. Because you can have a friend for years that's like, oh no, you're my boy, you're my boy, you're my boy. The one time they think that you did them wrong because you didn't do what they wanted you to do, that can skew their how they see you in terms of loyalty, right? Even though you're making good decisions, you're like, nah, I'm not trying to get into that, or that's not a good choice. And you can even tell them like, hey, it's not a good idea. And so perspective still plays a part into loyalty and how it comes across in friendships and that's why it's not an easy subject, right? It's complex, and that's
it requires communication. That's the main thing,
I think what we're touching on here is just relationships in general, right? But relationships in general require a lot of touch and go, a lot of work, a lot of you said constant communication and understanding perspective, and things like that. But I definitely think loyalty falls into that. I think let's say marriage, and hopefully this is okay here, Travis. But so Travis and myself have both been married and divorced, and Travis was lucky enough to find somebody that works out with. I'm still over here just running the streets, but it is what it is.
Like a hoe.
But
loyal to the streets.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm loyal to the fucking streets, baby. Nah, but but with that perspective in mind, I think now if you get married, there's basically like a commitment of loyalty there, right? However, if you realize, hey man, this shit sucks, it's not working out for either of us. I think it would be a foolish move to sit there and stay like, well, I'm just going to stay here and hate my fucking life and you hate your life.
Yeah, just in the name of loyalty.
So that falls back into the blind loyalty, right? Like even though we cannot see eye to eye, we don't have the same perspective, we're not getting along.
Right.
To sit there and do that, I think the loyal thing to do is to then sit down and say, listen, either we got to do something or we got to call this a day. Right. You know what I mean? It's interesting you brought up dogs. So one of the most interesting things I think in my time having dogs was just like they're very quick to forget some shit. You know what I mean? Like I've never really fucking abused a dog either, so I can't say like I just beat the shit out of a dog and then it was fucking cool with me again. But when I was married with that dog, and sometimes me and her would argue. Not the dog, the wife.
The dog and the wife would argue.
Yeah, and you know, like my ex-wife at the time, she would get up and kind of get in my face, and the dog would be like, "Fuck no, no you don't," and like, and I'm like, "Yeah," she ride with me, you know what I mean? But things like that, which I always just found very interesting, you know what I mean? The dog would, I mean, for a long time was way more into her, and then things shifted. Like you said, time can change things, and then the dog was like, "Nah, dude, where we going?" You know what I mean? Because I'm like, "Get in the car," you know what I mean? So just interesting perspective on that, especially something that can't communicate in that regard, not like our traditional means of communication. But and it probably not as complex emotions as ours.
It's simplified, right?
Right. Yeah, but it's just kind of dumbed down a little bit, and it's like, hey, you feed me, you make sure I'm good. You know what I mean? I know when I'm here, I'm okay. And with that said, I'll basically ride with you. You know what I mean? So yeah, very interesting, man.
Yeah, I think just real quick, but it took the dogs to get us to that point. But the point that you just brought up was like, you feed me, you take care of me. I know that you have my best interests at heart, and I think that's the main core of loyalty. Is like you're loyal to someone because you know that when push comes to shove, kind of like your story with Andrew, he could have chose not to, but he had your best interest at heart, and he did something that was maybe uncomfortable. You know what I mean? Like he kind of, he could have easily ended in a fight. You know what I mean? 15-on-2 is never fun. I've been there. So, but that's the thing is about loyalty is like the intentions of the person, you know what I mean? And that goes with, being two ways. But if you have, people or a job or whatever it is that you're loyal to, if you both have each other's best interests at heart and you're actually willing to like, pick that person or whatever it is over another option, like that's I think where it's like really displayed.
Yeah,
good point.
Yeah, very good point. And you mentioned loyalty to a job, and to me, I always felt like, again, it's a great example of being a two-way street. If you're loyal to your job and your job has overlooked you and pushed past you and all of this, and but for no bad, you've done nothing wrong. There's no one's ever reprimanded you in any fashion. They just simply are like, no, whatever. Yeah. Not giving you any opportunities.
Talking about me? Never mind.
Let's not get into that. But
never mind.
But yeah. So if that's the case, then and you decide like, well, I'm going to stay here because this is my job. Clearly, man, you're just putting loyalty into something that doesn't give a fuck about you, and I think that's. Your loyalty is misguided. Misplaced. You know what I mean? Your misplaced loyalty, right? Like I said, I think whether it's your family, a friend, a relationship, your dog, your fucking job. To me, again, the key there is it has to be a two-way street. It has to be reciprocated. And I would say, man, for me, I would say it's definitely one of the biggest points that how I view like a friendship. Like I know I could sit down and talk to James fucking hours, and I know all I'm gonna get is his honest perspective on something, just straightforward. He's not trying to mislead me into something else to manipulate me or anything like that. It's hey, this is what I think and this is why, and then this guy, I know you, whatever it may be. And so with that said, then I take that as this guy has my best interest in mind, right?
You know that because you do it every Thursday.
We do. Right
here,
every Thursday.
Right here on the Men and Means podcast.
Yeah, dude.
Please
tune in and listen to a loyal conversation.
Please leave a comment, review on Apple Podcasts or whatever your podcast of choice.
I'm gonna change the graphic to whiskey, motivation, loyalty. We're gonna kick off with lifestyle.
Perfect.
Yeah, there you go, man.
Loyalty.
No,
but to your point with the jobs, right? So like, there's multiple ways you can act out as a human because we're more complex than dogs, right?
Right.
So the thing is, I made a joke right now about how if you're talking about me with work, not getting opportunity and everything like that. That's where I think personal loyalty comes into factor, right?
Yeah, very.
How well,
I love it.
Like because for like almost 2 years now, I haven't had opportunity that I wanted
that you've earned,
that I've earned or whatever, right? But I won't go to you and tear the house down.
No.
Right? I'll go to you and say, look, this is what I think, this is what I feel. My loyalty lies in the way I carry myself, the way I learn. 2 years ago, if I would have stopped learning, then I would have sunk myself, right? Yeah. So my loyalty is to progression.
Yeah, I love
right?
that. I love that.
So the progression leads me to not allow my employer to influence it. It allows me to not let my friend drag me down.
Right.
The progression allows me to go, look, I'm loyal to learning. This is all experience. We talked about it last podcast. Everything is practice. I gotta fail. I gotta learn. I gotta grow. I gotta learn how to fucking talk to people. I'll tell you right now, I had a meeting today. And I literally put the 2 people on the meeting on the board. And I ranked them by experience, attack, defense, like multiple factors, right? And as the meeting went on, I went up and I erased and I put, your attack's higher than that. I gave you, and the thing is, like, everything is a learning experience. So you go into a meeting, even to that degree, your loyalty has to lie in yourself too to get better. Like, how do you approach this, right? You learn different things about being loyal to yourself and your progression. See, a lot of people think that you got to be loyal to just somebody, but sometimes you could be loyal to where you want to end up. If you want to end up somewhere that's better than where you are now, you got to be loyal to that vision, and that vision, it requires you to learn about the differences between do I just throw my hands up? No, right? Because that's not being loyal to yourself.
And then what are the right times to throw your hands up?
Exactly.
Right? Because to your point, James, and I'm really glad you brought that up, because I think if you don't have loyalty to yourself, then you have loyalty to nothing, right? Like if you have to start with that. If you don't, and you don't have that, then you have nothing.
Yeah, you can't tell if someone actually has your best interest at heart if you don't even know what your best interests are.
Absolutely.
If you don't act that way.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right. And then to be fair, if you don't carry yourself that way, then how can you expect anyone else to? It all starts with you, I think, and that's in every factor. But and like you said, your loyalty lies with progression, and I think something with me is every day I'm just seeking to try to get better in some fashion. Let's say you start a job and you fucking brand new and you are doing this meeting and you don't know what you're doing and you fucking sucked. So what? If every day, take some time, learn something, get better. Before you know it, it's a walk in the fucking park. And then challenge yourself again. You know what I mean?
Yeah, don't get comfortable.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You know what I mean? Like I said, man, I think, like, to me, I think loyalty is like the foundation of like a sustained relationship, and with however you view to look at that. If that's work, if that's your dog, whatever, the examples we've given. Even if you look at us, like we've been loyal to drinking whiskey, right? We've made that a thing, and then we've stuck with that. We haven't jumped outside of that fucking realm at all. So that you can look at that as an example. But again, you got to have a foundation first. You got to say, hey, all right, well, if we're gonna do this, then we got to be loyal to doing this, to the setup we have here, to the situation we're doing, and then we can build upon that. But if you don't have that foundation, you have nothing.
Right.
And that to me, that's simply just the key of life. You build a fucking house, your foundation ain't shit, then the best house you've ever seen ain't gonna be worth a damn.
And consistency is the key.
Consistency. There you go. James models that all the time.
Well, I tried to.
Yeah, no, and I was going to say too, and I think I kind of mentioned it to you like in passing, but I just wanted to clarify. I wasn't just like brown nosing. I'm genuinely like, shout out to James for keeping the podcast going.
Absolutely.
When you were away with the Ravens, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? So like, I know it wasn't easy, and it was kind of like, you're like, well, what's the point or whatever, but I think it does make a difference. And like
I
that
agree.
consistency is like what, like you said, is building the solid foundation. And you're going to look back on these episodes and be glad that you went through it,
Yeah, well, the first thing is, like, it bothered me, right? It bothered me to not. And we dealt with that before, where we didn't want to not do something.
Right.
And before we started this podcast, me and Ken weren't like so strict on something, right? Like we liked things and we did things, but nothing strict.
Right.
Once we started that thing where it had to happen, it would come down to the wire, and I'd be like, I can't not, right?
But
like
that's loyalty in itself, though. That's loyalty
right.
to your guys' vision and your goal.
And so what I want to say is while I wasn't here, I was out there with the Ravens and I had shit to do. I was trying to make a name, and
you're traveling and fucking
you're across the country all the time.
Collecting all those towels.
I would you more water.
Yeah.
What I'd say though is the fact that James did that also just kind of established that basis for loyalty there. You know what I mean? Like, hey, well, I can't be there. James is still like, hey, I got it. I'm gonna hold this shit down, and now there's no worries about that. You know what I mean? Now if he can't be here, I have to come here and set all this shit up and fucking do it myself. You know what I mean? And I'm like, I don't know what we're gonna do. You know what I mean? I don't know how to plug this shit in.
For the record, and I'm not like I'm always happy to be here. I'm not like trying to interject myself. I'm saying though, like I'm a genuine fan of the show, and I like what you guys are doing. And if I can ever help at all, like let me know. I'd be happy to come on.
If we ever have a situation, I'm telling you right now, you're in.
All right, good.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you know
you're in.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you said that on air because now
because you just
now
know taking it back.
Hey, I'm loyal to you.
Yeah.
All right.
yeah, there we go though,
Plus,
right?
I think it's verbally, legally binding.
Yeah, I
right?
think that's what it
that's a
is.
verbal contract,
Yeah.
right? Okay,
Write that down.
Yeah.
I'll sign it. I don't care.
No, you're in.
All right.
And
But so what you're witnessing right here happening is an extension of loyalty, right?
Right.
Like, hey guys, you know what? I am a fan. I listen. I enjoy it.
Mhm.
And if I can provide some assistance in keeping that going, then here you go. And you can count on me to do so.
Yeah.
And that there's something I don't think we said, but I think loyalty is being able to count on someone to do something,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah,
Maybe we
reliability.
did, right? Yeah, like I can count on you.
Mhm.
You said you would. Now's the time.
Yeah.
Do you do it? And if you don't, your loyalty is fucking shot.
Right,
You know
right.
what I mean? Like,
Means nothing.
yeah. And now that's how you lose it. If you say you're gonna do something and then you don't do it,
Mm-hmm.
and I mean, I think there's probably levels to that. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're like, oh yeah, whatever. I don't know. You know what I want to say is this. I would say today is a great example. I was talking to Travis today, and I'm like, fuck, dude, I am fucking exhausted. Like I am beat. I was having a shit morning. I had a shit night. But I told Travis then, I said, by the time I hit that podcast,
Mm-hmm.
everything will change.
It's podcast
Yeah,
day.
you know what I mean?
It's podcast
It's
day.
fucking Everyone's like, you doing all right? It's motherfucking podcast day.
Mhm.
I'm just peachy. You know
Mhm.
what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's a great thing to have, to be able to kind of fall back on that, man. And I'm trying to make a way to correspond that back to loyalty, but
No,
I just
and we're in the beginning phases of still like we've been
Mhm.
consistent,
yeah.
but we're still in the beginning phases of just being loyal to a vision, a dream that we have.
Mm-hmm.
And that requires us to put the work in.
Mhm.
Yeah.
And that's why more than anything, it's not like what the circumstances are. It needs to happen.
Yeah,
That's like imagine anything else in the world that doesn't just do what it has to do to survive.
right.
That's what we are doing. That's what when he was with the Ravens, that's what I had
Yeah,
to do.
that's what he had to
Mhm.
do.
Like it's just what it was. And I was able to drag in enough people and I was able to drag in Crystal enough times.
Yeah, shout out. I've never met her, but shout out to Crystal
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
I was able to drag her in to the point where that day she wasn't available, and I sat there and I was like, "All right, well,
My man
Here we
endured
go.
screwball. Okay.
Yeah,
And I gotta
hey,
apologize to you again
please,
for that, man.
please
when
give
you
me some love.
you
Dude.
said you were like, yeah, and we stayed loyal to the whiskey. I was like, I
Yeah,
mean, it is
it's
whiskey.
peanut
It
butter.
is.
I don't know.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
know what I
But
mean?
no, 100%. I'm joking.
That
but
was
yeah.
a donation too.
Yeah, yeah,
I would have never bought that. But I think that was the only whiskey time I did without Ken.
yeah.
Because like I said on the last episode, I want them to be here to try this shit. I
Right,
don't
right,
want
right.
Yeah.
You think I'm gonna go buy a fucking $90 bottle of whiskey so I can sit here and drink by myself?
No, yeah.
No.
That's the fun part about it is sharing it for sure.
Of
Yeah.
course.
Well, yeah. That's yeah.
even when
you
it's
know.
even when it's bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if it's shit, at least we shared that experience. You know what I mean?
Another sponsorship, right?
Yeah, it was a sponsor.
We-
You know what? Maybe they never had it. I don't know. Maybe they're different tastes.
Maybe it was a gift to them. They regifted it. I don't know.
Yeah, who the fuck knows? But too, man. And just speaking on that note, like I mean, fuck, James. How many weeks did we go straight without one of us missing anything?
A long fucking
Right?
time.
Like, I
There's
mean-
episodes that didn't come out.
Yeah, dude. Like, yeah, there sure is. You know what I mean?
There's about 3 or 4
Well,
that
that's
didn't
mainly
release.
because your boy got trashed. Okay, it was the shit you saying, you know what I mean, and that was bad. But
Yeah.
we've grown up too, and I think that's also what happens when you dedicate yourself to something and you really want to get to it, and then you have everybody telling you like, "Wow, you were really fucked up," and you're like, "Yeah, I don't like hearing that." Then you got your dad fucking listening to it, and you don't want to be that guy. Please don't drink and drive, son. I'm like, God, yeah, I know, dude, that was fucking trash.
You're
But
talking
the-
about jerking off and shit.
Yeah, and edging and everything else. But by the way, I have taken the Uber home every day since we've done this. There's definitely no drinking and driving. So cops, don't worry about it.
Mhm.
Yeah, he also hasn't stopped edging, but
Mhm.
Who the fuck would?
who would?
Right.
I'm edging
right?
under the table now.
I don't think the cops have jurisdiction over that, nor would they want to.
Yeah, we're in a private residence.
Mhm.
Anyway,
Oh, also, we didn't really touch on it, but I kind of wanted to take a moment to talk about these cigars.
Yeah, please, let's do it.
Ken provided us with these lovely, lovely cigars. I'm a big fan of these. These are the Oliva Series V or Siri V. Sorry, there's no S at the end of Siri.
Siri?
Yeah, I
Like
don't
your
know.
phone.
Check
Both
the
your
label.
phones right now are fucking like, what do we want? What do you want?
No, but
Siri V.
yeah, Siri V. So, but yeah, I've been a big fan of Oliva, and I really like these ones. I think they pair well with this rye.
Yeah, you know what? It is paired quite eloquently.
Mhm.
These are paired
Mm.
all the way up.
Yeah,
I'm really happy with these pairs.
this is
Yeah.
one hell of a pair. You know, we really tend to just run with some shit sometimes,
Mhm.
guys.
Travis, can I dive something real quick?
Yeah, please.
I like the fact that you get the invite, right, to the Men and Means podcast, and it was a no-brainer, right? First of all, the fact that you were like, hey, rye,
Mhm.
because you're a listener, you know,
Yeah,
we don't fuck with the
yeah. I
rye.
was like, I want to
That's
get something
literally
new.
said.
Something new.
Yeah, and then it sparked my research and all that, so
Mhm.
I understood what I would appreciate in a rye.
Mhm.
But the fact that you came through and brought the rye, right? Like, that's what you wanted. We got the rye,
Yeah. Okay.
and it's one of the good ones. Well,
Mhm.
yeah. Regardless, right?
Yeah,
Mhm.
no,
But
no,
but
that's the point.
off the suggestion,
Mhm.
at least, right?
Yeah.
That to me is like that's the epitome of someone diving in,
Yeah,
right? So
yeah.
I talked to him last Thursday, and I said, "Hey, Travis, Thursday."
Mhm.
He's like,
yeah.
yep.
Yeah.
Let me hit
He's
him
like,
up.
"Yep." He's
Yeah.
like, immediately, "Yep."
Mhm.
And I tell Travis.
He
and
called me. No. As soon as he talked to you,
Mhm.
he literally Ken never calls me.
Yeah.
He never
No.
never calls me.
And it made
He
it so
called
quick.
me.
Yeah.
He's like, "Hey, I don't want to bother you. I just want to give you a little update."
No, I start talking and I go, wait, first, I don't want to bother you.
Yeah.
You know?
Literally, he tells me that.
Mhm.
Yeah.
He's like, "Travis is in." I'm like,
Nice.
"Awesome."
Yeah,
I'm like,
cool.
"Awesome." Wanted you here,
Yeah.
and to bring the rye and just then I see you on Monday,
Mm-hmm.
and you're like, "Hey, I got a suggestion. How you guys feel about a rye?"
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
That's diving in, right?
Right.
That's diving in, committing, and we've had listeners that have given us suggestions, given us money,
Mm-hmm.
given us bottles,
Yeah.
given us everything, and I'm not saying that what you did is extra, right?
Mhm.
Because we want you to come in and
Yeah.
enjoy this with us too, right?
Appreciate it, yeah.
But the fact that you're diving straight in, that's on you.
Mm-hmm.
For you to dive in head on
Mm-hmm.
is you diving in and saying, "Oh, I want to show you guys something.
Right.
I want to bring something to the
I
table.
want to make an impact.
I want to make an
Yeah.
impact."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That to me says a lot about you. And I'll tell you right now. So we talked about loyalty, but let's go off the rail a little bit.
Mhm.
Sure.
I want to talk about the impact that people have personally, right?
Mhm.
You are somebody who is very unique, and you're an individual who has the ability to kind of like you are who you are,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
that always comes across.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Like you said, we haven't hung out ever
Mhm.
before
No.
this
No.
episode, but I've always got a vibe from you that's always been like, no, I like Travis.
Yeah.
I like because he is who he is. It
It's-
doesn't fucking matter.
Likewise.
Yeah.
And I'll just say this. I told Ken weeks before
Mhm.
we invited you on, my birthday passed in
Mhm.
November, and you DM me. You're like, "Happy birthday, handsome," this and that, right? It's funny, but also it's funny,
Mhm.
right? It's
Yeah.
outside of the fact that regardless of what you were saying,
Mm-hmm.
you were like, "No, I'm gonna DM him.
Right.
It's his birthday.
Right.
I'm gonna be who I am,"
Mm-hmm.
and I shot him on his birthday.
Mm-hmm.
That's why you're sitting at the fucking table.
Yeah.
You know, and that speaks so much. I'm not impressed by little things.
Mm-hmm.
Like the little things I appreciate them,
Mm-hmm.
but like I enjoy when people are individualistic
Authentic.
and
Mhm.
authentic,
Yeah.
and they are who they are, and like you don't need me to like you,
Mm-hmm.
you know, and I know that,
Yeah.
you know, and that to me is why you're sitting here with us,
Yeah.
and I am enjoying your company. Just based off the fact that you are who you are.
Okay, so there's a lot to unpack there, but I want to start by saying, like, I really appreciate what you said. You didn't have to say that, and you know, but I'm glad that you feel that way. But you can ask Ken too. I've always said, like, I feel like James and I will be like really fucking good friends. And I was all, but it's just gonna take a little while.
And
but
fumble.
I'm glad I'm glad I've got this opportunity, and so you know, as far as like the podcast and making an impact and suggesting the whiskey and stuff, like I have a lot of friends that have side businesses and stuff, and I know how hard it is, you know what I mean? And maybe not necessarily businesses, but podcasts and other things that they want to do.
Yeah.
And I always want to be supportive, you know what I mean? And I try to be like, you know, if I can reshare something on Instagram, like that's a way to be supportive.
Sure.
But with this, like I actually genuinely am a fan. And it's not to say that I'm not a fan of my other friends' stuff, but what I'm saying is like this is right up my alley. Like I really like whiskey, you know, and Ken can attest to that. He's brought bottles to parties before, and ends up just being me and him.
And I'm like, no one appreciates this
Right,
shit.
right.
You know what I mean?
So I am a genuine fan of what you guys do here, and so like to be able to be a part of it, like it makes me happy. And so like of course I wanted to give like a good recommendation. I was really hoping that you guys would like it, but even if you didn't, I was just like, I'm still happy just to be here.
You know what? And I want to point this out. Our highest rated bottle we've ever had here, our number one fucking pick between especially me and James, was a recommendation from Travis.
Oh,
the
Lagavulin.
Yeah,
Okay.
and I'm glad that we all know what it is because it was our favorite shit in the world. It is literally, and I will push that on anyone ever. And I remember when he sent it to me, I was like, what the fuck is this?
Right,
You know what I mean? But yeah, so thanks again for that. And then just a note on Travis. I first meet Travis, I'm at a party, he's there. I don't know this fucking guy, and if you know me, I'm usually really reserved. Like, I mean, depends. Am I drinking or not?
Slightly,
right?
yeah.
Am I drinking? Nah, you know. And I was. So I think throughout the day, we end up somehow now we're talking. And we just are fucking talking shit. You know what I mean? We're just making jokes, and it's just, but it was just this easy back and forth, just totally fucking around. You know, this guy is very easygoing. I mean, I don't remember the exact situation, but I know what it turned into was me, like, I get invited somewhere and me being like, well, is Travis gonna go? You know what I mean? Like, I don't really want to go if he's not gonna go.
So like kind of a bit of some context. Like Stephanie, my wife, she's best friends with Vanessa, who's
like
the
one of my best
sister,
friends.
and,
Yeah.
and also one of your best friends. And so I knew Vanessa before I even knew Stephanie, because
Right.
we used to work together.
Yeah.
But definitely I got closer to her once her and Stephanie became friends.
Yeah.
And it definitely turned into that for me too. Anytime anything had to involve Vanessa,
Yeah.
I was like, is Ken gonna be
Yeah.
there?
And so now I have Vanessa like, you know what? Like, apparently Travis asked if you were gonna be there. I'm like, yes. You know what I mean? We're gonna have a fucking blast.
Right.
You know what I mean?
But like I feel like with you, even like I already kind of feel that developing, and I will say like I can be kind of friends with anybody, you know. And that's from my upbringing. But it's definitely, although it may seem like it, I definitely don't connect with people like this that often. And so it's kind of awesome that like the two of the people that I now work with, you know what I mean? Like I have that kind of connection developing and already with. So, but like I said, all that to say is like, thank you very much. I also get very similar vibes from you, and that's why I brought it up to Ken, that I feel like you and I would be really good friends. I just felt like I didn't want to force it, and I wanted it to be organic, you know what I mean? But I have thought about it. So.
Wow, next episode on Love Connection. What the fuck?
Isn't it funny because I feel like guys don't always approach.
Well,
it
guys
that
are
way,
guys, right? Like we're real, like I don't know, we'll see what. Like when the first time, I'm sure, like, and I don't remember it, but I know for a fact in my mind, I see this guy there, and I'm like, who the fuck's this guy? I don't fucking know this guy. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then the fact that like then I start talking to him, and I'm like, this guy's fucking hilarious. You know what I mean? And that's what I say. Travis has one of the greatest sense of humors that I've ever come across.
Well, thank you.
And I mean, like you mentioned too, like I sometimes I have some friends where I'm like, oh, fuck, I can't take you to this group of people. Like you're not ready for it. I feel like, man, you'd fit in anywhere. You could go with the blackest of my black friends. You know?
Hey, I was born and raised in San Bernardino. I told you I was born in San Bernardino Community Hospital.
Well, I mean, and same to James. You know what I mean? Like, I mean, you guys are just authentic. You are who you are, and I think anyone I fuck with respects authenticity anyway.
Right, for sure.
And otherwise, I wouldn't want to fuck with you. And look at me, like I'm just a hodgepodge of shit anyway. You know what I mean?
Zebra.
There you go. Zebra.
Yeah.
Shout out to fucking Edawanda High School. You assholes calling me zebra, but you know, I embraced it.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
But I'm similar to you, where I knew, like, for some of my closest friends to date, I knew from day one I was gonna be friends with them.
Right.
So I've treated, like, when I was younger, I was aggressive and I was mean and I was fucking assertive, like too far, right? Too much. I was dealing with a lot of shit that I was growing up with, but I always knew, like, from day one, oh, we're gonna be friends. And I remember I borrowed one of my friend's bikes in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I was fucking like we went out to like these hills, and we were fucking. I fucked his bike up, right? And he was telling his friend at the time, he was like, "What's up with this guy? Like this
Mhm.
guy's fucking with me."
Right.
And in my head, I had already assumed like, "Oh no, we're gonna be friends."
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It'll
So
be
like,
fine.
no,
Yeah.
like we're good.
Don't
We're
worry
good.
about it. Yeah, it's gonna be
Yeah.
fine.
Like we're gonna be fine.
Minor scuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's like Pineapple Express again, where it's
Oh,
like,
yeah.
like, oh, can we be three best friends?
Yeah.
Like I
I
always
think that was a hangover.
I'm
Yeah, a bit of both.
a bit of both.
Yeah, yeah.
I was like,
No,
wait
I'm
a
talking about
minute.
when they're sitting at
In
the
the
diner.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's like, can we all be best friends
It was
with
like, yeah.
hearts?
Yeah.
But I've always been like a good judge of character, you know, and
Yeah,
that's what
same.
I hinge it on. That's what I don't give a fuck how cool you are. I don't give a fuck
Mhm.
what you're into. I can care less about what your lifestyle's like.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna judge you quickly
Mm-hmm.
based off of who you are.
Like your character.
Yeah, just
Mhm.
off your character. I don't care about nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
You could be the coolest motherfucker in the world. You can have money.
Mm-hmm.
Don't impress me.
It's not- yeah,
right.
it's not my concern.
Yeah.
And I think that comes from, and I imagine you're the same way. It's like being able to be friends with a lot of different types
Type
of people.
yeah.
There are, you know, I mean, I have very different, diverse group of friends, and I think a lot of that was from my upbringing.
Same.
Like being, you know, one of the only white boys at San Bernardino High School. You know what I mean? Like
you
and
kind of had to.
well,
you had to.
and not even so much that I was like scared or anything. It's like I wanted to. Like I
Yeah.
wanted to be, you know, friends with everybody, and because of that, I got to like interact with a bunch of different types of people. So I think early on, I developed like you said, like a good sense of like being a good judge of character. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And because you can tell, like you can tell when you meet somebody and you're like, I don't know how deep I want to take this. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I can still be friendly with that person, and I can make them think that we're best friends. You know what I mean? But it's never getting past in a
Well, yeah,
certain level.
like
you know
yeah,
what I mean?
like I hang out with you in a certain environment, some those
Right.
kind of vibes. But like, I
Right.
mean, so I kind of just want to throw this out there too. So for myself, you know, it's like a lot, very diverse, very
Yeah.
like fucking. I feel like I could walk into any situation, and
Mhm.
probably be okay.
Mhm.
But you know, what I liken it to is like a lot of times I hear people like, "Hey, what's your type? Like, what's
Mhm.
your type?"
Mhm.
And I'm always very like, I don't really have a type, and I think
Right.
to that point, I think like typically like I'd pick like a shorter girl, probably a fat ass. You know what I'm saying? Shut the fuck up.
Like blondes with
But-
big tits.
you know?
See, I'm lost. I think you were talking about friends and shit.
No, no.
I was like, what?
Yeah, I don't have any short girl friends with fat asses. No, Andrew, I guess. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like,
Yeah,
you know,
I wasn't limited
it's
to
cute,
females,
You know
yeah.
what I mean? No.
But yeah.
No, but the point I'm simply trying to make is though, like I wouldn't rule anyone out based on that. Like you don't have to. I'm not so defined that you have to be this race, this height, this color, this fucking, you know, any of that. And that's across the board with me as far as anyone I meet.
I think
Wow.
yeah, it just struck me as you said that, but I think the common like denominator is open-mindedness. I feel like we're all very open-minded. And
Yeah.
and that's why, you know what I mean?
That's
we-
probably why
yeah.
it was like, yeah, okay, we're
Mhm.
good. But and to James's point, I think I'm typically a fairly good judge of character. Some people I meet and immediately I'm like, I'll make this point. If you guys have been loyal listeners to the podcast, you'll
Hey,
know on
shout out to loyalty.
the initial episode was me and Anthony talking about how we kind of met, and James as well, talking about how we met and how me and Anthony really
Didn't
didn't
like
get along at first. But I never thought, fuck this guy, he's a piece of shit. I just thought I understand what you're doing. I get it. I respect it. However, you know what I mean? And me and Anthony have had some issues over the years, but I've always respected him. I've always had respect for the guy. And I even later on in life, I go to him and I tell him, I said, look, man, we weren't even cool. And I said, look, man, I like what you're doing and I respect the fuck out of you. You deserve what you got.
Mhm.
Just as being a man, the man that I think I want to be, I think, fuck it. You know, I don't have to be your best friend to tell you I think you did a good job.
Right,
Fuck it. You
right.
know what I mean? What do I lose from it? I don't lose
Mhm.
shit. Yeah. It's not a battle between me and you. I don't really give a fuck. And even if
Right.
it was, you know,
Right.
I guess you can have it. You know what I'm
Mhm.
saying? But I think all of us have a bigger, like I said, I'm loyal to myself. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Definitely. And what my goals are. But my goal isn't to be fucking better than James or better than Travis. I don't give a fuck about
Be
that.
best
Right?
version of
If
yourself.
anything, I'm loyal to myself, but I also want to build you guys up. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? If I fuck with you, I want to build you up. I
Mhm.
want to be able to be like, I think you're fucking up, or hey, don't do that yet. Wait some time. Get what you're getting. You know what I mean? And then make your fucking move.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, and take some time to fucking develop the craft you want to do, and then fucking now you got to get the fuck out of here. You know what I mean?
Yep,
And
for
all good. And so that, I guess, to tie it all back in, man, I just think, to me, that's loyalty, right? Like everything you guys have heard right now, even though it seems like we're getting a little off subject. I don't think we are. I think it's all encompassed within the same thing, man. And anyway, and I knew you two would fucking hit it off. You guys both are fucking, we have motorcycles and we're cool and we fucking put gel in our hair. And I'm like, man, I'm gonna get cut out of the circle again.
Stop it.
No, I won't let you.
No one could replace you,
I
Ken.
wouldn't let you motherfuckers come
And
out.
we wouldn't want to.
Good luck,
Mhm.
okay?
Everybody needs a Ken in their life.
That's right.
Right?
100%.
Everybody needs a Ken in their life.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
That's
Well,
right.
I don't know what that means, but you
Mhm.
know, somebody to
Sometimes,
push around.
no, sometimes you just need a tall black friend to just stand in the background. Some fools start talking shit. You just like, hey, you see that guy? He's
He
with
looks
me.
tough, but he is
He's with
not.
me.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean? He is.
That's why we tell you don't talk. Just stand there and look me.
They're like, is he half white? They're like, yeah, but like the other half is.
Yeah, but it's like trailer white. Don't worry about it, dude. He's fucked up.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
It's not what you're thinking.
He was
Right,
chained to the
right.
furnace.
Yeah,
you know
yeah.
what I'm saying?
You're like, I thought you said this guy's last name was McCaskill.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, whatever. Yeah.
Also, the fact that you have cask in your name, like you were born to
I
be
was
a
born
fucking whiskey
to
reviewer.
do whiskey times.
Mhm.
Son of Casco.
Yeah.
Yeah, here we go with this again. Son of, what the fuck? You don't even have one then. It's not even fair. Okay, what do you use? Son of Mar? You know what I mean?
McEdward.
What the fuck? I don't. You said that earlier, and I don't know what that means. Son of Carrie, or son of McCormick, or Cormac.
Corey?
Corey, McCory. That's what it is.
Son of Corey.
Yeah,
Because the Mick in the name is
It's
son
like
of.
son of, yeah.
yeah. Well,
I had to tell him earlier today.
Mm.
I think it was today.
I'm Irish.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm not. You guys take a guess at how that ended up.
Mm.
My dad's the black one.
Yeah, I
Take a
can't.
wild guess, shot in the dark, and
Mm.
figure out how we ended up with that shit. It's son of nobody, ain't they fucking son? Okay, right? That ain't what happened. Anyway, we're getting a little,
Mm-hmm.
to
We're having fun.
history-ish here.
Mm.
You know what, man? So something that's just hitting me, crossed my mind a bit, is just, guys aren't really willing to share emotional fucking perspectives on things. And you know what, man? I got to say this, though. With that said, and, me, I could work around people or meet people and talk to people. And usually you're just kind of shooting the shit. You know what I mean? And then the people that I fuck with, though, are the people that, like, I know, like, let's say I just had some fucked up shit. And I'm just like, man, I just got to kind of air this out. Or, like the guys sitting in this room right now. Like, I know they're going to be honest with me. They're going to be straight up. They're not gonna. I mean, even if you did, like, hey, you act like a little pussy right now. You know what I mean? I'm not accept that. You know what I mean? Because pussies are one of the toughest things in the world.
Sometimes
okay?
you need to hear that
Yeah.
too.
But no, sometimes you are, and sometimes you got to get past it. But sometimes, man, some shit's going on, and people, you we're not chicks, so you know what I mean. I think of that, and this isn't to generalize it at all, but I think in our world, the kind of men that we are, I think most people typically won't. With something that was said earlier. James said, like, I don't really care for surface level conversations, and like they're awkward for me. And Travis, I don't know where you are with them, but like I'll have them, but they're irrelevant. I could have a surface level conversation with a motherfucker every day, and it would mean nothing to me, and I wouldn't care. However, man, the people that I can actually go and be like, yeah, this is where I'm at, and I'm fucked up, and I don't know if I'm all right, you know what I mean? But then having that conversation. That's your kind of that embrace, that fucking crutch, if you would, to kind of like hold you up when you're about to fucking fall, and stay the fuck up and get your shit done. You know what I mean? I got a friend of mine was posting some shit. He broke up with his chick and was posting shit. Like, he's so sad. And I wrote him. I said, man, you know who the fuck you are? You know who the fuck you are? Get your shit together right now, dude. And he was like, thanks, man. That's why you my fucking boy. And I was like, yeah. So fucking act like you know that. You know what I mean? The point I'm simply trying to make is, man, we talk about loyalty, we talk about all this, but man, like, you got a friend, you got people that you can fucking talk to. I think a big part of loyalty is also understanding I come to you with some shit that, like, I mean, it would be easy for other people to pick apart. And I could tell you it, and you'll be fucking, that's not gonna be your goal, is to pick me apart. And maybe you talk some shit, because we're guys. That's what we do. We talk some shit. But you're going to give me some fucking honest feedback. Hey, this is what you need to do. If I'm fucking up, if I fucked up, you're going to tell me I fucked up. And if I didn't, you're going to tell me you didn't. And I'm going to take that and be like, all right, that's what I need to know. This is where I need to be. let's get this shit done, and then you just get better. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I think kind of touching on what you mentioned earlier, like there's a stigma about mental shit in general, and even more so for men, you know, and you know, it's been talked about before and stuff, and unfortunately, like it's still a thing, you know, 100% is still a thing. You're gonna be judged, and if you open up to the wrong people, they're gonna tear you down,
Yeah.
and you know what I mean, they're gonna tell you man the fuck up, you know, and that it's unfortunate, but that's what it is, and so to find people that you can that who are loyal to you, have your best interests at heart, and that you are loyal to, you know what I mean, and that you can bring this kind of shit up with, it's like super fucking important, you know, and
Yeah.
and it's rare. It
Yeah.
really is. And when you find that, you know, it makes it's just one more thing in the case of like being loyal to someone, and that's something that I look for. It's like if I'm gonna be loyal to you and expect loyalty in return, we got to be able to be open and vulnerable
Yeah.
about some shit. And like, you know, not necessarily like I don't expect you to solve all my problems, but you know, I want to be able to open up to you and talk to
Right.
you about real shit deeper than surface level, and know that like you're not gonna go put me on blast on, you know,
Yeah.
or talk shit behind
Yeah.
my back or make me feel less than or judged
Right.
because I opened up to you. You know what I mean?
So to that point, right? Like I just mentioned, my friend. I'm not throwing his name out there.
No,
This isn't by no means. No, but right. But
Yeah,
like
I get what you're
by
saying.
no means to embarrass the guy, right?
right.
Simply to give an example. But and by no, I'll be fucking fully upfront with you right now. Yeah, I have definitely been there. I have
Mhm.
been there,
We all have.
and I'd say, man, one of the hardest things I've gone through, which was probably just me fucking up anyway. James was the guy that I was talking to all the time. You know what I mean? And then I think, and vice versa. And I think then through that though, we realized like this is bullshit.
Mhm.
You know, fuck this. You know what I mean? And then life goes on, and then it becomes more apparent.
Mhm.
But in that moment, it I think it's crucial to have someone that you feel that's not going to go and try to exploit you. You know what I mean? And trying to make you into a joke. And you know, and I
'Cause
mean,
that's-
fuck it. And we can joke. Like I can
Yeah,
joke.
100%.
And even at that point, James could have talked shit, and it wouldn't have been offensive,
Right.
provided that there was some fucking honest. We're getting somewhere with it, right?
Yeah, because that's a surefire way to make a bad situation worse. Is if you were opening up to somebody and they tear you down. It's like
Yeah.
now you're dealing with the shit that you were dealing with originally.
On top of
this, you know what I mean?
And now you feel all fucked up, and now you're all fucking locked inside. And I don't say anything to
100%.
anybody because
You
I
go,
did. And
You go full Irish and you just stuff that shit way down. You just keep drinking.
Yeah, and don't do an Irish goodbye to Travis.
Yeah.
Okay, keep that.
I'll
in
call
mind.
you out. You know
Yeah.
why? Because I'm the fucking expert on Irish goodbyes.
Oh shit, man! Me and my boy were at my homie's house the other day, dude, and like I was like, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go smoke outside. No intention on smoking, full intention on going home." You know what I'm saying? And my other homeboy comes outside right behind me. He was like, "Are you leaving?" And I was like, "Yep." He was like, "Let's get the fuck out of here." It was so beautiful, dude. And we got in the car, and then we just fucking left. And I was like, I loved it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
Like I fucking loved it. Sometimes you just gotta make a getaway.
You just got to get the fuck out of there.
But anyway, man, I do think, you know, man, I think, you know, a good friend of mine, and I don't know, it's kind of weird. It's kind of something I didn't plan to say, but fuck it, you know. A good friend of mine actually told me the other day, like, hey, you know, like I think you might need like some professional help. You know what I mean? And they were kind of like, and I was like, what the fuck you mean? And they're like, well, I just think you kind of always like beating yourself up and shit. And I was like, you don't understand though. Like, yeah, I do. I didn't say this in the moment, but then the next time I talked to him, I said, you know what? I thought a lot about it, and you're right, I do. But because I'm an Eminem song, I bully myself because I make me do what I put my mind to. And I thought, yeah, you know, like you're goddamn right. I am tough on myself. I'm harder on me than anybody else I fucking know. But because I know what I am capable of, and I know that I have to do that to get to that point. So sure. And we've talked before on here about me like self-deprecating and shit. And yeah, I do. You know what I mean? I'm always very iffy. If you gave me a compliment, I'm very like, "Are you fucking with me?" But because I know I can be better, and so to me, I'm okay with that. You know, and I felt like that was her honest opinion, and she was trying to give me some honest feedback and kind of concerned. But after I explained it, I think she was like, "Okay, I get what you're saying," and I was like, "And look at the things I've been able to accomplish." You know what I mean? Like. So don't think that I think I'm a piece of shit, because I don't. I think that I've done okay, but I can do more, and I'm going to continue to do that, and that's always going to make me fucking try to get to the next level. As we were just mentioning, man, you know, like I was telling Travis off air, I said, hey, you know, man, like we should try to do stand-up comedy. You know, I was like, it's terrifying to get up there and do it. but everything is terrifying the first time you fucking do it. You know what I mean? That's the point, is just to get the fuck up and do it. And maybe you fucking suck. Maybe it ain't for you. But you don't know if you don't fucking try it. You know what I mean? So get up and fucking try it. And then worst case scenario, you know, you go home, people laughed at you, laugh one way or the other. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. You know what I'm saying? Either you're the joke or you told a good one. You know what I'm saying? Fuck it though, you know? But the point I'm making is, man, you know, like I think more people should kind of bully themselves.
I think there's just like anything else. There's a healthy level to it, and then there's there's pushing it too far.
I'm probably pushing it.
Well, and
slightly.
I would say that I have too in the past, because I've had my fair share of failures, and you know, one of the most recent ones is also one of the biggest ones. You know, and so anyone who knows me knows that I'm very hard on myself in the same way, and like it's because I want to be the best version of myself that I can. But at some point, sometimes like. And I'll be real honest, like I got to the point where I was beating myself up and like feeling like a failure and putting myself down over some shit that was out of my control. But because of the potential was there for me to, like, you know, make a better life for my family, and like there was a lot at stake.
So you see what,
I took it even harder, and I was really fucking hard on myself. And you know, it took some people that are loyal to me and had my best interest at heart and that I respect to tell me, like, hey man, you know, it's okay to feel bummed out about this, but you can't blame yourself for this. You know what I mean? And I think that's where it crosses the line from like a healthy, like, you know, self-motivating kind of like hard on yourself to get better. It crosses the line from that into being unhealthy, and like, you know, that's how you get stuck in a rut. So, well,
it's important for you to feel yourself in failure, right? So like I've been in situations where some people classify it as failure, but for me, I'm like, no, you saw it as failure. I shined. Whether or not you see it as success, personally, I succeeded.
Right.
And I've been in situations like that where it's like it's not very clear to everybody, but for me, I know I'm growing, right? So like, how the fuck do you know you're growing if you're not in a tough position, right?
Yeah.
Most people are gonna fold, right? Most people are gonna fold.
What's that? If you're comfortable, then you're not doing enough.
You're not doing enough. Right. So like when you're in those failure moments, you gotta understand, even in your failures, especially in the workplace, you're ahead of everybody else because you're in a position to fail, first of all. And then you failed in eyes, but not really, because what they saw as an objective, right? For you, it was an opportunity to grow. And it's fine.
To gain some insight, to learn something new.
That was 100% what I had in mind.
Yeah, and I'd say too, man, in the time that, like, just I'll be blunt about it, working with James and Anthony, I think all three of us have probably to somebody there been told that we weren't enough or something.
We're shit.
Yeah, and then
sorry guys. Just kidding.
Yeah, we're like the goddamn Phoenix.
Yeah, but then it was like, okay, and number one, first off, I think especially, I'll speak for myself. I'm usually like, oh yeah, fuck you, I'll class you. Fuck you. You know what I mean? Like everything to me turns into fuel. You know what I mean? Like everything, even bad situations when I'm with, and I'm like, you know what, like. No, and sometimes to a fault even, I think I turn it into fuel to try to do something that I probably shouldn't have, and probably should have just said fuck it, let it go. And I'm like, no, I can fucking find this, I could get this person to see this, I can, you know what I mean, I could work with them, I can fucking do this. And sometimes I think one of my bosses often says, fail fast. If you're gonna fail fast. And I think it's a good philosophy, to be honest with you. I think if you know you're gonna fail, just fucking cut your losses and let it go. I, however, am like more like, no, I'm not done. You know what I mean? Not done yet. Even never with myself, because I control myself. As we spoke last week, you're in control of your life, and you can do whatever the fuck you want if you're willing to put in work. And one of the greatest examples of that, I think, is James. I think James puts in the work on. He wants to do something, wants to learn something. The fucking knew we were gonna drink rye, and look at the fucking effort he put in. He fucking mixes and fucking edits this entire podcast and the videos and everything, and had no prior experience, and just fucking taught himself how to do it. So that's one of the people that I kind of see, and I'm like, that's my motivation on how, hey, if you want to do something, you can. which is why I beat myself up, because I know if I fucking dedicate myself to something, then I can fucking do it. And if I can't, if I have if the only time I'll admit defeat is when I have honestly dedicated everything I had to something and I can't. And that's, so me, I think that's been a fault in my relationships, is it's failing. And I'm like, no, you're not done yet. You're going to fucking keep going and going. And it was never me that needed to work on it. And I, you know what I mean? It wasn't my issue, but I continually tried to get to change tactics or whatever the fuck it was, you know what I mean? To appeal to the audience in which you're referring to. And that you grow up and you understand, you gotta fail fast. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, you know what I mean? Like, it ain't on me, man. You ain't doing nothing. That's on you. That's your fucking bad. And so, but yeah, you know, you guys talk now.
Yeah, no, you find, to me, I find my greatest like display of who I am comes in the challenge. Like, you challenge me, okay, now I'm stepping up to the plate. Now I have to defend what I know. And that's where, like, a lot of people in career-wise don't find themselves every day. They're just going through the motions. But in reality, it's in the challenge. Like, I welcome the challenge. I don't think I've come across someone in my company who could challenge me to this day that's like, oh, I know it better than you.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So, like, you learn a lot through the challenge, and that's where I think you find a lot of your value, and it comes down to, like, you walk away with that.
Yeah.
You win to the company, it's a small win, right? For you. But it's a big win personally. Because you walk away like, yeah, you couldn't get me. Like you could not outclass me in this sense, right?
Right.
So you walk away with this sense of like, oh, my defense was strong.
Yeah.
Like no, you were off. I had to school you a little bit.
You tried to attack me.
Yeah.
And you couldn't.
And I had it all. And you know, in our line of field, it's like, it's black and white. There's rules, right? So as long as you play within the boundaries.
Well, it's black and white, but there's a good gray area there too.
But it's like there's a boundary, right?
Area.
So like you know, yeah, like I got close to the edge, but you didn't push me over. I knew my shit enough.
Yeah.
You're wrong.
Well, you couldn't.
Yeah. So like a lot of times the experience of that comes down to like how wild, and that was my whole point last week, was like, if you don't know your shit down to the point, what are you doing? Like, you're not pushing it far enough. You're not ambitious enough, because if you're ambitious enough, every point is on your side.
Yeah.
Because you know the ins and outs, and that's where I think it comes down to, like what you're talking about. You know the ins and outs, so you beat me on that, then you're great. You're a fucking you are a fucking master.
Now you've earned my respect.
But most of the times they're not.
Yeah, which is why, like myself, like I like to go and kind of, I don't want to say challenge. Challenge isn't the right word, but I like to go and try to talk to you and Anthony about something and try to throw my, like, even today we were talking about something that I have no knowledge of, but I'm throwing out ideas. You know what I mean? And fuck it. You know what I mean? Like, first off, I'm not expected to know it. Cool. There's people that have no fucking clue. Wow. You know what I mean? And here I am
asking those questions.
Right. But I come in and I'm throwing things out. Yeah. Shut it down because of this. Okay, cool. Got it. Now, well, what if you do this? I like challenging, especially with people I respect. So like you and Anthony are we've been there. You guys are a little longer than me, but damn near the same amount of time. And where I feel like we fucking have learned a lot. And this, I know we relate it back to work a lot, but we're only doing it in the sense of understanding that, you know, this is something we've put a lot of effort into. So with anything you've put effort into, but I want to challenge myself against the people that I think are role models and people I respect in what they do. I want to challenge myself against you, not necessarily to go against you, but I want to see, can I hang with you? You know what I mean? If I can, then I'm like, okay, you could play ball, dude. Like you're on the field. You know what I mean? All right, that and to me that's good enough. And then I got other people that are way above me that try to fucking, oh, well, what about this? Yeah, all right, well, you know, again, the finesse game comes into play. Now, maybe I wasn't expecting this question. I wasn't, and I'm not necessarily bullshitting the answer, but I'll have an answer. Fuck you, dude. You're not gonna you're not gonna sit here and get me where I don't know what I'm doing because maybe I haven't mapped it out to the way you wanted your specifications mapped out, but I have a fucking plan. I don't do things for no fucking reason.
And also too, it's like it's okay not to have an answer. Like that's one of the things I learned on early on or whatever. It's like it's okay if you don't have the specific answer right away, but if you know how to get that answer, like that's what matters. You know what I mean? Like you're not,
yeah,
like 100%. You got to know your shit. You know what I mean? But even if like you can't know every single pallet location that's going on in your job, and if there's something
Yeah,
that's
right.
off, you know what I mean? But you know how to figure out what happened. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? You know how to get the answer.
Right.
And I think that's what matters. And I just think it's important to know, like, we're not saying that you have to have all the answers all the time for every specific little thing, but you have to know your shit well enough to where you can get those answers in a timely manner and present them in a professional manner. And that's what's going to set you apart from the other guy who just shrugs his shoulders like, oh shit, I don't know.
Yeah.
You know?
I find myself creating like, okay, like I'll get assigned a task and I have a timeline to do the task. And James knows this about me well. I find myself putting it off and putting it off and putting it off until like it's critical to do it now.
Mhm.
And I don't know why, but I think I thrive in that situation. Like, okay,
You putting pressure on
now
yourself.
I have to pressure myself because if you gave it to me in the beginning, I'd fucking like, whatever. You know what I mean? And plus, I think I got ADHD, so I think I'm like, I can't focus on something. I didn't need the time frame to pop ideas in my head. And then, same as this, like we come to do this podcast, most of the time throughout the week, shit just kind of hits me, and I'm like, man, that's a good thing to talk about. You know what I mean? Or if I don't, I need the pressure of like, okay, we're about to fucking start now. I need you to fucking, you know what I mean? Like, and then I'm like, okay, get the all cylinders. Everything is focused on this. Outside of that, I can't focus on one thing. You know what I mean?
I see.
So I think too, in life, you got to understand who you are and how you operate, what works for you.
Mhm.
And then you got to make that work for you. You know what I mean? You got to know how you get down and then get down in the fashion you do. You know, you sit me down, either this, like if in high school, you sit me down to take a test. It's hey, either I know the material because I was engaged when we're doing it or whatever, or the night before I crammed like a motherfucker and now I got it. You know what I mean? Or I just don't got it. I'm just like, I don't know, just form a pattern on how do you fill these fucking answers in. And but I don't know, man. I don't know where I'm going with this.
Well, yeah, no, I get what you're saying though, but yeah, it's just, and even like that test, obviously that's a specific scenario, but even if you don't have the answers, you don't know how to get the answers, or you can't look up the answers in that specific scenario, like what you do after the fact or how you respond to it, that's what continues that character development. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because it's okay to fail too. Like, you know what I mean?
Failure is essential.
That's my other point, and we were kind of talking about this too. It's
Can
like,
we normalize that?
yeah, please,
Yeah.
because that's how you grow.
It
Like,
is essential.
It's like James was saying, like, you know, what the other person might have saw as a failure on your part, you take that and you use it as fuel, right? And
Yeah.
you use that as an opportunity to grow and to get better. And so, yeah, it should be normalized, but it's okay to fail. It's okay not to have the answers all the time. But as
Right.
long as you're like, constantly and consistently trying to better yourself and, like kind of learn from those experiences, you're just going to end up, a better person than you were before all this. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
Something I want to say is too, man, when you see someone around you that's successful, you got to kind of look at them and see what they're doing.
Well, yeah,
So I'm going to
100%.
give you a good example of that. God, what is this? 3 times? Jesus Christ. So Travis here, man. Travis has one of the most remarkable memories of anybody I've ever met. You know what I mean? And so I started asking him shit about it. Like, hey man, how do you think you got there? You know what I mean? Like, what's the secret? And then, yeah, and then he's like, man, I think like I write a lot of shit down, so I free up some fucking capacity for my memory. You know what I mean? Like I don't need to remember everything. I wrote these things down, and then so from there, the things I need to remember are easier to remember. And today we were buying a fucking whiskey, and I was like, God, your memory's fucking remarkable. And he was like, yeah, I used to try real hard to.
Well, it was because I always had, and it's like kind of going back to the mental health thing or whatever, but I had this narrative of myself in my brain. It's like I have a shit memory. Like
Yeah.
anytime I couldn't remember something, I'm like, fuck, like this is really upsetting to me. And so I would do things to try and improve my memory. And before you know it, like as long as you continue,
You
like,
work at it.
and you work at it, like before you know it, you got it,
Yeah.
And so like, we were talking about a work order at work that was from
Oh,
fucking
yeah.
October.
Jesus Christ, this
And-
man remembered the
and
exact number.
and I was just
like,
I was just
oh
a
my God.
bystander throughout the whole thing. 'Cause
Yeah,
at the point
yeah,
I
he
was
wasn't even fucking the guy.
I was just being
involved.
trained, but I remembered the situation. I was like, no, remember there was like something in the system. There was a fraction. I was all
No,
and-
today when you gave me the exact work order
Well,
number, I
yeah.
was like, "What the fuck?
Yeah,
dude?
well,
this guy's a
and-
freak,
Son of a bitch.
yeah, dude.
And so, but that's what I'm saying. It's like, you know, you could be hard on yourself to help yourself improve. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And you know, as long as you're improving, like that's the ultimate goal.
So as long as I think the summary of that is, as long as if you're gonna be hard on yourself, but then you're developing a system on how you're going to better yourself,
Right.
and then actually executing that,
Yeah.
it's all good.
Right.
Now, if you're just beating yourself up and then
Nothing
doing
comes of
nothing,
it.
and so constantly consistently just beating yourself up, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, that's
right?
that's where it
Right.
becomes unhealthy.
Yeah,
Right.
if there's progress made with it, then
Mhm.
so be it. And I think for myself, I think all three of us sitting at this table probably, if I identify something in me as a flaw and I don't like it, then I want to do something about it, and then I do. You know what I mean?
100%, yeah.
So I again. Understanding Travis said, "Hey man, I write things down," and since then, how many fucking times do you see me? I'm
Yeah.
like, okay, you know what? I
Yeah.
come in the morning. I'm like, okay, you got to write this shit down, write it down.
Right.
And I think I have a pretty decent memory when it comes to the shit I need to do.
Mhm.
But
Yeah. It just helps you
details,
focus.
little details get lost in that.
Mhm.
And I'm like, no, write it down, write it down, write it down. But again, look at people around you, learn from your peers,
Mhm.
learn from the fucking easy examples you have in front of you, right?
Mhm.
Like, don't make life so hard where you're just like, oh, I have to figure it all out. Like, look at those around you,
Mhm.
find friends that'll give you honest feedback, bounce shit off of them,
Mhm.
take the fucking feedback, and then grow from it and get better. That's all we got in life, man. You know what I
Mhm.
mean? Like, it's literally all the fuck we got. It's just you have each day that you're lucky enough to wake up and do something. So do something with it and make
Mhm.
the most of it.
100%.
Before we get to the truth part, we're at work, right? And we go to lunch, and Travis is reading a book.
Yeah, I know.
Now, Ken knows I'm for that. Like
Yeah,
I'm all
I know.
I've been in my car reading books before too. What are you reading?
So
Because I want to, similar to how you want to come up and you want to be, you want to be social with me. I also see you reading a book, and I want to go up to you and ask you that.
I
do.
wish you would, man.
I do,
I wish
yeah.
you,
You know,
would.
and honestly, it's like that. Like I hear people all the time talk about, oh, like that's my spirit animal. Like
Yeah.
like there's been multiple things with Travis at work where it's like, oh, okay.
Yeah, you
We-
two
we-
are
we-
very
similar.
yeah,
We-
dude, yeah.
I called you out for a hat you were wearing before.
Mhm.
And
Yeah,
then
you wanted the hat.
the jacket you were wearing
Yeah,
not too long
and
ago
this
is in the
is-
back of my car. But like I want to go up to you and ask you, like, what are you reading?
Yeah.
But I don't want to come across as like being weird,
No,
right?
I get it.
And that's why I don't.
Yeah.
But Ken has come up to me and seen me reading a book in the car, like, what the fuck are you doing?
right.
Yeah, I do it to him too.
Yeah, he does.
Hey,
Yeah.
You
And-
fucking reading?
And that's why I think we relate, right? So like
Yeah.
I want to ask you too, like,
Mhm.
but what are you reading?
Right.
Right?
Well, so yeah, and like it kind of goes back to what we were talking about before earlier. It's like you kind of just got to be yourself and be fully prepared to get those kinds of questions. Because yeah, it is a little different. Like in the day of cell phones, anytime anybody's got some free time, they're probably scrolling through Instagram. And I'm not talking shit because I do the same thing. You know what I mean? But I also try to make time to make myself better. And you know, on those breaks and lunch breaks, when you see me reading, like that's the kind of time I've designated for that. I found that time in my day. You know, with a 3-year-old daughter, it's not exactly easy, you know what I mean? Or not as easy as it was before. But anyway, to answer your question, a lot of times what I'm reading is like philosophy stuff. I've been reading a lot of Ryan Holiday, like on Stoicism specifically. And
Did you
just,
guys not?
yeah.
Did you guys not just become best friends? Okay, dude. These are literally the same fucking. You guys are like the same guy. Okay?
But that kind of goes to your point. It's like take the knowledge and the examples that other people have set,
Right.
and find what works for you and plug it into your life in ways that'll help you become a
Yeah.
better person. And for me, like reading some of those books has been that. So Stoicism is like the main thing I've been reading. It's like Ryan Holiday's books. He has a few
Can you
ones.
be stoic right now?
Yeah, you ready?
Ready? All of us.
Yes.
A lot of stoics.
Yeah, so Travis is gonna
We're
let you
stoic.
guys
We're
know
stoic as fuck.
We're stoic
what
as
book
fuck,
he's
man.
been reading. His
Yeah.
book is very exciting.
I
and
think
he's
I think
excited to share
you
it.
think stoic means monotone.
I don't. No, I think it means no emotion.
Unaffected.
Well, and that's the
Yeah.
thing. Like that is a misconception. Without getting too deep into
No,
stoicism.
yeah, tell me I'm wrong.
No, but
No,
like
I'm okay
stoic
with it.
on the surface level, that's what stoic is, right? It's like not being affected, like
Yeah.
being. But ultimately, what I'm taking from it is learning how to take these tough situations and frame your mindset in a way that like doesn't view it as a failure or as like a problem or whatever it is. And the name of one of the books I'm reading is called "The Obstacle Is the Way," and it just touches on what we were talking about. It lists like historical examples of when people came across like really hard problems and how they reacted to it and how they persevered.
You want to come back next week?
I would love to.
Because honestly,
Yeah,
yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
I would love
I
to.
know.
Yeah,
I know. I knew it. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew it was gonna happen.
honestly,
yeah.
no, yeah.
Yeah, no, but so that's mostly what I'm reading. I also have been reading. This is my second time reading it, but the book I'm in the middle of now is called.
Second time
You know,
reading it.
that book was thick. I was
Oh,
like,
hold
I
on.
didn't know if it was a Bible. I was like, I
I'm
don't want to
gonna
call
watch
him
it.
out.
What was the name of it?
So this one that I'm reading for the second time around is called "Finding God in the Waves." So I was raised in like a very strict Southern Baptist style church, and so as soon as I got the chance, I got the fuck out of there, and I didn't start going to church again like for 15 years. Like I just recently started going again because a lot of the things that I learned when I was younger, like I had like a sense of guilt attached to them, you know what I mean? But recently I've been kind of like rebuilding my faith or however you want to call it, you know what I mean? And that's one of the books that's really helped me. And so
Yeah.
I read it the first time, like, I don't know, like a year ago or so. And I felt like it really helped me. And I kind of wanted to just get back in touch with some of those things that I was doing. Again, all in the name of just bettering myself and like providing the best like life I can for my family.
All right.
Because church isn't bad. And like, let me rephrase that. Sorry. A lot of what church is nowadays can be bad. You know what I mean?
Right.
Because people, take things
monetized.
out of context. Yeah, there's that aspect of it as
I'm
well.
gonna throw that out there.
But the sense of community that you can get from a church
Sure.
is really good. And
Yeah.
I didn't want my daughter to miss out on that because
Fair
of
enough.
something that I did or some kind of like thing that I had going on. So
Yeah.
that was one of the reasons why I started like pursuing this again. And so since then we found like a really awesome open-minded church, and she's like got so many friends. Like everybody loves to see her. They had like a Star Wars day and we dressed up.
You're a wholesome motherfucker, man.
Yeah,
I swear to
I
God.
know.
Honestly,
I know.
I'm listening to this shit, and I'm like, do we have a truth?
Like
Damn, this
literally,
motherfucker,
literally,
like-
you two both are. Like you two both fucking are. And like I'm
Crazy.
like so like I said, like I'm always constantly like trying to like hear what people do and things. And I respect it.
Mhm.
I respect it 100%.
Yeah.
Not my vibe.
No, I get it.
Not my vibe.
I get it,
However, I
100%.
respect everything you just said about it. And James, like your philosophy aspects, your not philosophy, but your spirituality aspects. I'm always like, I don't really fuck with that, but I respect it.
Yeah.
I respect it because I think it's bettered you as people, right? You've taken the information and you've done something with it that was positive,
Right.
all about it.
Right.
I think I'm fortunate enough to have two people like that
Mhm.
who get this information and then share it with me
Mhm.
in a non-indirect way.
Yeah. How about
And then I get to get the benefits of it
Yeah.
very indirectly, so I don't need to attribute it to either one of those. But I'm like, nah, you know what I mean?
Well, I just my main thing is like I don't ever want to come across as like pushing anything on anybody, because that's what was turning me off from church in general and like religion in general.
right,
Like
same.
like I don't know how familiar you are with Baptist, but it's evangelical. Like you're taught that everybody is going to hell unless they repent, and it's your job to convert everybody you know. And if you don't,
that's
then the
fucked up.
person that
Well,
you
that's-
love is going to hell,
That's
and it's your
Christianity.
fault.
That's
Yeah.
Christianity in a whole.
Well, that's Christianity taken in a literal sense, is what I'm
Well,
saying.
yeah.
But that's part of the reason why churches has kind of like got that rep. But
Yeah.
anyway, my whole point is this: I don't ever want to come across as like trying to force anything on anybody. I'm doing it to better myself and my family, and if I can help and impact people in a positive way,
Yeah.
then that's what it's about.
I'm all for it.
I'm trying to show love to everybody.
Yeah, I hear you. You know what? I love that.
You son of a bitch. You son of a bitch. And And I mean that in a loving fucking way.
Hey, I felt it when you said it. I felt it.
You son of a bitch.
Say it again.
You son of a bitch. One of my greatest mentors, he's a Christian. Full on. And it wasn't until he was in debate with someone who was full on atheist, right? Full on, and I respected both of them. Full on debate. And it came down to financial, right? The guy who was atheist, like, well, what if you give your money to everything and at the end of your life, you like there's no God. And he just said, well, then I was a good person. Yeah, like it was 100%. Just that simple. Right. He just wanted to be a good person. And I saw that, and it wasn't in what he said to end the argument, which was nice though, to see him end a debate. Right. But to see that he actually did that for his kids. I was like, oh, you mean it. Yeah. Like you mean that shit. Yeah.
I'd argue that right now. I'd argue that shit right now.
No, but this is honestly,
I respect it.
I don't even believe in God the way I believe in this guy.
Oh, wow. That's a strong statement.
Yeah. Because I don't believe in God.
Yeah. That's because I was about to say, James, because I'm like,
no.
I mean, nothing to me.
Yeah, no, exactly. What I'm saying is I'm not religious. Yeah. But I believe in this guy. And when we talk, he's not trying to persuade me. Right. To your point, your whole message right now, you are doing it for the betterment of your family. And that's why I'm saying, like, we're getting into religion. That's why you'll be back next week.
Yeah.
I don't give a fuck.
Can we do religion next week? Yeah. Like it's a delicate subject.
Let's get into principles next week. Let's get into religion. Okay. Let's get into family values. Let's get into
hold on. Slow down.
But I will say this. I call you a son of a bitch because you're rare.
I appreciate that.
In the religion aspect of it all, it's rare to have somebody come out and say, I'm doing this for my child. And the reason I say that is because my daughter went to a preschool that was it was a Christian school.
Okay.
So we'd pray. Right? She'd come home, out, Dad, I want to pray. Let's pray. I'm like, I'm not a believer, right? But for her, I want her to have ideals and values, whatever she wants to do, right? So we do that. Yeah. Now, it's not my job to tell her, like, hey, God's not real, right?
Right.
So, like, it's nice to hear that you're doing it for them. Because what I take away from religion, and we're going to wrap this bitch up real quick, right?
Yeah, because we could do a whole nother episode.
We're going to wrap this real quick. But from what I take from my experience with religion and religious people is my favorite religious people are people like you who are doing it for you.
Yeah.
Doing it for your family. I can never hate 1 second on your ideals.
Yeah.
If it's for your family.
Same.
I have no ground to stand on.
Right.
And that's why I think that what that takes, though, it takes you to be a solid individual to understand where you stand and go, well, I'm not trying to influence you. Right. Because like you said, you were raised.
You didn't like the fact that they push it and associated guilt with it.
No, but not even that. You were raised in the Baptist way where it was like, it's your fault if you don't influence that motherfucker next to you.
Yeah.
That's not your job in the real sense of it all.
Right.
That's why I say you're a son of a bitch because you know that.
Yeah, and
because you were raised in that.
But it took a lot of years and a lot of like guilt and a lot of like personal growth and you know what I mean, like reconciling all that shit that you learn at an early age and you know what I mean and to reframe I'm no saint, you know what I mean, and I go to church, you know, now I haven't been in a while because of the pandemic.
There's no Saint Travis.
Well, you know.
This motherfucker here is a goddamn saint.
All I'm saying is like I'm still affected by those things. Like I hear certain terms in this church, even though I know that there's a different meaning than what I was taught, I still get triggered by that shit, you know what I mean? And so all that to say is like, you know, there's I don't know, there's a way to go about it that is a good thing, you know what I mean? And I feel like it's been taken out of context and it's been stigmatized or whatever. Like the church has a reputation, and so a lot of people are turned off as soon as they hear Christianity, you know what I mean? But it's was never supposed to be about that, and it never should be about that, and I hope it gets normalized soon.
Real quick, we're gonna get into that next week.
Can you come back?
Yeah,
will you be back?
Absolutely, I'll be back.
Okay. You've been.
Yeah.
Next week, Travis is coming back.
Yeah.
100%.
I got it written down. I know what we're doing.
Really quick, recommend me a book.
I would recommend you the book that I'm reading, Finding God in the Waves, because I was
Finding God in the Waves.
I was a full-on atheist before this, and this book is about how this guy, the author, reconciled his faith with science. Because he was a full-on Baptist, but he loved science. He found a bunch of inconsistencies and contradictions in the Bible. It totally unraveled his faith. He went full-on atheist, but then through his pursuit of knowledge and science, he found his way back to God. And I say God, you hear God, and you have already a preconceived conception of what that is, but it's not what you were taught, is all I'm going to say.
Very interesting.
So one more time.
Way to sell the book.
Finding God in the Waves.
Seriously?
Finding God
Seriously?
in the Waves.
Yeah.
You got me interested. And
I would
initially when you
love-
started talking about it, I thought like, okay, I'm going to ask you for a book, but I don't want that book.
I would love for you guys to read it because it's not what you think it is.
I might.
Yeah.
Suggest me a book that's not religious.
That it isn't. That's
Okay,
what I'm saying.
Whatever. Just give me another book, Travis. Okay.
Another book that I've been reading.
No, hold on.
Uh-huh.
Fuck him. Fuck him.
Fair enough.
Fuck him. Next week you can give him another book.
Okay.
This is your book for today. Let's
okay.
get into our truth.
I wanted a
All right,
book.
all right.
Okay,
Yeah,
fuck
yeah,
it.
I got
You
it.
guys go for it.
Okay.
I already know my
wanna
truth,
go
but you
first?
guys go. All right, man. All right, so Travis, I'll talk to you later about a book. Anyway, so for me, man, and this is something that's gonna rain really fucking tough to me in this particular day. But it's gonna revolve around honesty. You know what I mean? I think for me, honesty is the foundation of every relationship I have with anybody I have. I'm sitting at this table with two gentlemen that I feel like I could be 100% honest with, in any regard. You know what I mean? Like we're talking religion, and James is, not religious. I'm not religious. And there's no fucking hatred towards that. There's nothing there. It's like, hey, I'm being honest. You know who I am. You know the person I am. You're not judging me based on that. I think honesty is something that transcends every fucking field, every fucking situation. Because if you have honesty, and I think honesty basically will set you free, in my opinion, right? Like if you are honest with something, if you fucked up and you're honest about it, you're done with it. You've dealt with it. If whatever the situation may be, you know what I mean? I think so what I'm gonna get at here is I think in today's time, in many aspects, it's something. I mean, even if you consider the late the stock market shit going on, there's a lot of dishonest shit going on there, right? Things like that. I think honesty has been lost within our society today in a grand scheme. In the major scheme, I think it's lost. I think if you watch reality TV, it's so edited and it's so bullshit where there's no honesty involved. It's reality, but it's so far from what reality is. And I think that transcends down to the people that are watching it, and it becomes this whole atmosphere of just bullshit. And I basically what I'm trying to influence is get back to being fucking honest with if nothing else yourself. I don't give a fuck if you want to lie to everyone else in the world. You do your thing, but you have to be honest with yourself, because you cannot get better. You cannot grow. You will not fucking progress if you cannot accept the truth about what you're doing and who you are. That's just as simple as that. I think as a society here, we need to get back to that, and we need to start understanding that, and so if you listen to this platform here, I think we are so honest so many times, because I think that is our goal, is to get better. But if you can't do that, you're doomed for failure from the start.
I like that.
Yeah, me too.
So my truth today is going to be a quote. I don't know if it's from Seneca or from Marcus Aurelius, but it's, he who suffers before it's necessary suffers more than it's necessary. And I think a lot of times you see things that you want in front of you, or you see things that have to happen in front of you, right? And it's tied to anxiety, right? So you have to take care of the things that are in front of you, but you don't have to worry about them. It's not necessarily, you don't have to really put too much into it before it has to happen. We think about all the things we want in life, and it's so easy to imagine what we want. what do I want to accomplish? What do I want to progress in this career or in life with your family? But to suffer before it's necessary, you're suffering more than it's necessary, because there's always going to be a struggle when you go through it and you try to accomplish those things. So for me, it's just, if you have a goal in mind, don't worry too much about the struggle. Do it, struggle through it, but you'll come out the other side. Because if I know one thing about people, it's that people are resilient. They can survive through anything. Just kind of shoot your shot in a sense, right?
Mhm.
Always shoot your shot.
And I hate to dumb it down to shoot your shot, but don't struggle through the pre,
Mhm.
like deal with it, struggle through it, and I guarantee you at the other end you're like, fuck, I'm glad I did it. So for me, it's that quote: "He who suffers before it's necessary struggles and suffers more than it's necessary."
Mhm.
So that's mine.
Real quick, man, I want to say, man, I'm glad you shared that, because I think that's something that I fuck with a lot, and overthinking things ahead of time
Overthinking
before
yes.
it's actually there. Like I said, you have to be uncomfortable. So be okay with being uncomfortable. Be okay with challenging yourself. Be okay with that. And then go through the motions.
Mhm.
Don't worry too much about it till you get there. Once you
You will
get there,
survive.
and then you'll be fucking fine. But the more you freak yourself out, like you said, anxiety and all of that, and this is what leads up to that. Just fucking go through the motions, man.
100%. So to get into my truth, I think it encompasses both of what both of you have said, and it kind of also ties back into our theme of loyalty. It's straight up just identify the people that you are loyal to, why you're loyal to them, and who are loyal to you, because those are the types of people, or those are the specific people that you need to reach out to when stuff like that happens, like when the hardships come. Uh, so yeah, but yeah, just identify the people that you're loyal to and reach out to them when you have problems, because that's who your core people are, and that's who you're gonna need in life to get through these hardships. So
All right, so we're gonna go to wrap this episode up. You guys have heard a lot of shit tonight, and it's Travis. We're glad to have you here, and just to have you here and hear your perspective on things. We want you back next week. It's been a pleasure for you to be here with us.
it's been an absolute pleasure for me as well, and I'm super happy to have had the opportunity, and I'm excited about next week.
Yeah. So make sure you guys are following on Instagram. Make sure you guys are following on social media. Give us some feedback. And like I said, I can't end any episode without saying share with a friend. Just one extra person is always a good thing.
Mhm.
Share with a friend, share with your whole family, share with your mother, your brother, your cousin, your
Your baby
grandma,
mama,
your baby mamas,
your ex.
your baby mamas, your baby daddies, your
Yeah.
ex, your fucking
Your
fucking boss, fucking every goddamn body,
Your Starbucks barista.
your
Yeah.
barista,
Yeah.
Hey, and we talked about Von's loyalty. Sarah, what's your fucking beggars? You know what I mean, dude? They need fucking something to do while they're standing there waiting to bag your goddamn groceries.
Yeah.
Share with the cart people. They're walking around picking up carts.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Entertain these people.
Yeah, that's another truth. Put your goddamn cart away.
Yeah, put it in a fucking cart corral. You know what I mean? Corral your cart.
Travis is like, I got a truth. It's
Put your
put your
goddamn.
goddamn cart back.
You know what?
We used to have simple truths like that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I literally always make an effort to put it back in the cart corral.
So do
Me too.
I.
Yeah,
I always
it's weird.
do.
It's
Same.
weird, but I always do.
Yeah, me
I'm like,
too.
where is it?
Yeah.
You know, when they don't have one, I'm like pissed off. Like, I gotta walk it all the way back to the
Yeah.
fucking door. You know what I mean? You son of a bitch. You know.
But
Anyway.
you do it, don't you?
Nah, sometimes I'm like, fuck this, man.
I don't ever
I've
take
come
it
too
back.
far. I've come too far.
Yeah.
Anyway, man. Again, so share that, man. We appreciate it. Travis, big fucking shout out to having Travis here this
Thank you guys.
week.
Thank you.
Travis will be back next week. We're gonna tackle religion and some other fucking
We're gonna
hard
get
hitting.
deep next week.
Yeah, we're gonna hit some hard hitting conversations, man. So if you want to share it, now's the time to share it, because we're gonna blow your fucking mind, man. We're gonna come prepared. As we just criticize everybody here, so we're all gonna fucking beat ourselves up and then fucking perform because we're loyal to this goddamn podcast. And you know,
on that note, okay.
okay, bye.
Okay.
Okay, bye.